Welcome back. It is another episode of Very Vehicular. As always, I'm still your host, Brian Scotto. Today's episode is a really, really good one. But I want to start by saying, if you're an American, there's a good chance you might not know today's guest, even though he is quite possibly one of the most important automotive YouTubers of all time. He has built hundreds of some of the coolest project cars ever. And he has an entire universe that kind of surrounds the content he has created. And we're going to get into all of that. But he's also like a bit of a celebrity in his own country. And if you speak German, you already know who JP Kraemer, a.k.a. JP Performance is. I am really excited to have him on the show today. And we get into such a good conversation across the gamut of things. We talk about cars, obviously. We talk about the business of it all. We talk about new cars, old cars, the cars we want to build, the cars we love the most. But we also get into, maybe some cautionary tales that America needs to learn from what's happened to car culture in Germany and how quickly it can go away. And we talk about what's next in car culture and in building things. I don't know. We talk forever. Actually, we talk so long that we set another record. Sorry, TJ Hunt. But this is now the longest Very Vehicular episode to date. So cut it up into parts, devour it whole. I don't care. Just eat it. It's a good one. Welcome to the show. I'm really stoked you're here, man. It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, ours too. I think last time. I still have a box from your car.
I thought you shipped some of it, but you may still have another box.
Right, I sent you a picture and said you don't want the other stuff.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah, but I still have it.
The only thing I'm missing is the hitch, which looks like a dildo. Like your European hitches, which might be weird. You used it. It might be weird. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it might be weird to ship in the mail to the U.S. as well, So
Is it?
Yeah. Hey, I want to start because I thought about this walking into the show. You are, without question, the most successful automotive YouTuber I know of. So not just know, and I probably know all of them, but I know of, right? But at the same time, there's a good chance a large percentage of my audience that's listening to this might not know you.
That's true.
Is that a weird thing for you?
I know you now for a few years.
Yeah.
And I hope this question's not coming up. It is the first question. But let me explain that to you. For some reason, it is a very nice feeling.
Yeah.
Because in every situation I come into the situation and it's very open and very free. Because normally when I move around in Europe, it's not like
right.
that. Before I come, everybody knows he will come in the next 10 minutes. So it has this feeling of when the door opens, everybody stops talking. And here when I come into, everybody still talks.
Right.
And what is very nice. But on the other hand, when I'm very open now, is that you worked for it and you get used to it. And sometimes, maybe that's not cool to say, I want them to know.
Right, yeah.
Because you worked for it and you're a little proud. Because I really had a problem with being proud for such a long time. And so sometimes there are people that are very known in America. And they talk and they explain to me. And I go like, oh, yeah, I did this too.
Well, the first time we met, I had no idea who you were. You showed up, I think, with Brian Henderson of Rotiform to Hoonicorn, right?
Yeah.
And you showed up and you're like, hey, do you mind if I film this walk around? I had no idea that you were German because you were talking to me and I was just like, all right. And then all of a sudden you started speaking in German, walking through Hoonicorn and I'm walking with you and you're talking in a language I don't understand. I'm like, all right, whatever. And you'd ask me a couple questions in English and we did a 10-minute walkthrough and I didn't think anything of it. And then the video went up and it was huge and we got this massive bump in subscribers. And I was like, who is this guy, JP? And that was sort of my first introduction to, one, realizing that American exceptionalism definitely exists, and there's people who exist outside of America who have a large following, but also got to kind of like see all your stuff. And, this was 10 plus years ago, I think, when that happened, or about 10 years ago. So, we've obviously been to your place.
Is it 10 years? No.
That was probably 2017 or 2018. So 8 years ago or something like that.
I was nervous because
You didn't seem nervous. You have a very because that was actually one of the things that took me off guard, because you showed up, it was just you, single camera, which to sort of the American YouTubers, the classic vlogger model. And then you just the camera went on and you became a different person. You did your thing. We moved through the building. We talked about all these cars.
I think this is the point, because I am nervous, but when I am allowed to talk about cars, or I can drive, I can do, everything is gone. And so up front, I was nervous. And I thought, these are the guys. Because even in Germany, people know Hoonigan. Not the way it is maybe now, but the way it was.
Yeah.
And for everybody, it was crazy. And then I'm this ambassador for this country, and I was allowed to go there, because I think I was the first German real car guy who went to your place.
Yeah.
So you get nervous, and you have this whole thing about it, and your style and how it looks. Because at that time, workshops and tuning, everything in Germany was not that way. And I think for me, it was always very important to give the German style or the German audience a feeling of you, a feeling of Hoonigan, a feeling of America.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely, I think, had a very unique aesthetic then. I think it's become a little bit more commonplace, but it was
100%.
It was like backyard garage in a warehouse, right? It was just this kind of mixed vibe. I want to get back to this though, because for those people who are not that familiar with you, can you give us a really short primer?
No.
Really short. Let's just keep it 5 minutes. You started in television, but even before that.
Yeah.
So you started in tuning, and then you got into TV, and then you went to YouTube.
I try to do it fast.
Give it short.
So I'm 45 now.
You look it. Keep going.
You want me to tell them your name?
No. I'm just getting you back.
I'm coming back to it later.
Yeah.
So then I had the chance to work at Porsche as a salesman, to learn that. And it's called Ausbildung in Germany. And then the owner changed, so everybody had to leave. And then I was working at 9FF, the Porsche tuning company, right?
I worked with them when I was at 0 to 60. We drove that crazy long
GT9.
Yeah,
right.
Incredible. Yeah.
So and then I thought, you know what? I think I can do better. And I everything what I do it with more than I really can. I give everything. And then what came out was not really what I thought. And then I said very early, actually, you know what? I'll do my own shop. And then I started 5-Star Performance with Sydney together. Mm-hmm. And we did this for 4 or 5 years. And then we talked, and I said, you know what? I think I want to do it by myself. And I think also for you, it's better if you do it also for yourself, because I think we are too different as a person. And why should we fight so strongly to fit together? Because we did a TV show also together then later on, or during that time. And then the TV came up to me and asked, you want to do a TV show? I said no, because I'm a car guy. I want to just build cars, the coolest cars that are around. And they asked for 1.5 years. Every 3 months, the guy from the channel, I mean, real big guy, what I found out later, he called me personally. You want to have the TV show? I said, no. And then again, you still don't want to have it? No. So then one time I said, yeah.
And what year is this?
Are we talking now 2005?
Okay.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yep.
And then I said, okay, I would do it, but only with my friend. But who's your friend? Sydney is my friend. So they came around and filmed him, just without a show, just filming him to show the boss, okay, this is the guy.
Audition tape.
Yeah, right. And then they called again and said, yeah, we can do it. And this is how it started. And then it was 3 shows. And on the end of the second show, I said, only 1 more to go. I'm happy when they're leaving. And then they called and said, can we do another 10? Another 10? Another 50? And at the end, I think it was 130 TV shows.
Right.
And in that time, I did also 5 different TV shows. And then I was always explaining things because I'm pretty much known to explain technical things with humor. Mm-hmm. How things work. Why is the car doing this or why is the engine doing that? And I was explaining, and I didn't watch the show that was on TV. So I didn't know what they cutting out, how they're editing the video. And then somebody showed me something and said, what you're explaining is wrong. I said, no. And then I looked at it and was wrong because they take this out and that out and this out. And then I went to the channel, and I said, look, man, you can't do that. People want to know how this works. And they said, no, they don't. No, they do. Trust us. They don't want to know how it works. They just want to get entertained. And I said, no. I don't think so. And then I started YouTube while I was doing TV. And while I was doing TV, doing YouTube was...
So when did you start YouTube?
2013.
Okay, yeah. Which is early for that YouTube.
I mean, 2012, we started the channel, and 2013 was the first video.
Yep.
And I got problems with them. They said, you're making a fool out of yourself. I said, no. Yeah, you do. You can't do YouTube and TV. Okay. And then I said, okay, well, then I stopped doing TV. And they were shocked.
Which now seems normal, but back then
it was crazy.
Wild.
It was wild, right? Yeah. Because I didn't want to do the TV show at all. So the money went up and up and up. So they paid me more and more and more to keep, because it's until this day, the most successful car show in Germany. They still show it. It's still running in TV. It's old. I don't look that way. I'm a different person, but it's still on TV. And so I stopped doing that because it was, at the end, not free. TV is horrible. TV is wrong. And the culture in TV is lying and on any costs. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't want to be there. And I'm anyway not a money person at all. So I thought, no, I'm not doing that. So I started YouTube. And it started slowly. And the way it is, there came out one video. I think it was a thing on Facebook even. And then I think in one single day, I think 24,000 followers on YouTube in a day.
Wow.
At that time. And I thought, wow, that's crazy. So it started. And I would say in the German language, we were the first YouTube channel about cars that is not uploading a TV show about cars on YouTube. So I would call it then OG, really. I mean, the beginning of the whole stuff in Germany. And I think this is where we still live on.
And then from there, you just built, I mean, you went and took the YouTube thing and funneled it into all these other businesses, right? So, I mean, just to list some, like you've got
16 companies.
You have 16 companies.
Yeah, right.
Including a burger shop, including a museum, including
all kinds of
all things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the thing is, and I know it's always very awkward when people think he says he's not a money person but doing all this. It is not the money, because when you go to work and you are a doctor, it's not the money. It's you get this, right? But I like the game. I like to have an idea and make an idea to real life, and being, while you do that, a good person and give things back to people in my world. Maybe not to skaters or swimming, cars or technology in general. And honestly, this is all what I do. And then why so many companies is I look for somebody and I talk with them, and I feel in many cases they're not good people. And my employees know when I go somewhere and this guy is not really a cool guy, they know what will happen. We're going to build and then I'm always starting then my own stuff and producing it myself or building it myself or developing it myself.
I mean, speaking of building cars, I was looking up. So I was like, I don't even know how many cars you built. Do you know how many cars you built? Because it is an insane number.
Yeah, I know because of the tax department. When you have Who helps you with taxes? That's called an...
With taxes? Your accountant?
Accountant.
Yeah.
Not in the company. He's in a...
Yeah, right. Like your bookkeeper.
And they send me a list how many cars I own. So I know this exactly now.
Oh. But you sell some of your cars? Or do you keep...
I should sell more.
How many do you own right now?
121.
Oh my God. I feel so normal at 26 right now.
No, 121 cars. And the sad thing is when I go through the list, I remember cars.
Right, like you completely forgot about it.
100%. And they are cars. I mean, real dreams. And this is for me something where I really have to work on myself. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we little boys want to collect.
Yeah.
It's not enough that you can say to a friend, I had this car. You want to say, I have this car.
Of course, yeah.
So
I get it.
This is the way we are. So,
and you built like a really wide range of things, right? I mean, I just saw the other day that you had like an E-Type. Is that something? Is that one of you built? I completely missed that, and I love E-Types. So I was like excited. I was excited to see that.
Not many people do.
Yeah, my father had one. Okay. So my quick story, my dad had one. He sold it right before like I came into this world.
V12?
No, the 6. And he spent most of my childhood telling me how great that car was as we drove around in the Ford Pinto he was forced to buy because he had a son that was constantly breaking down. So like most of my life was a guilt trip about how great his E-Type was, even though it broke all the time. And it was an issue with how much he loved it. But he gave it up for me. So when my son was still in the oven, I went and bought an E-Type to the chagrin of my wife. Who was like, yeah, it's a project car. Like it sits in a shed, but
they make problems.
One day, the plan for me is I want to build it with my son. I think it'd be kind of a fun thing. And hopefully while my father's still here, so I could get like 3 generations working on it at some point. Yeah, they're becoming more and more difficult. But I'm going to do not the same thing you did, but I'm not trying to restore it. I want to build like a resto mod type thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential in it.
Yeah. But to get back to it, like you build everything. I mean, you've got modern cars, you've got classic cars, you have Japanese cars, obviously a ton of Euro cars. I think you've built a bit of everything.
You know what I feel? When you talk about this?
Yeah.
I'm in America, and for me, all my idols and all the people who really built the very, very, very good cars are here. Always when I walk to the SEMA show or car shows here, and I see the quality, how they build cars and what they do to them and how they do it, I feel so...
Really? See, I feel the...
Some not.
I think that what is impressive to me is not just like the collection that you have amassed, which is slightly problematic on some levels, but I mean, you build really incredible stuff. You know, like there are cars that you build that you're like, that's not just like, oh, I slap some parts on. It's like, it's a concept, right? Like
I made the same problem. I made the problem up myself because this YouTube game, I saw another podcast, another thing where people were talking about this. Everybody's trying to beat the other guy.
Yeah.
In this YouTube.
Vinny and I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
We talk about you build cars for views and you don't always end up building the car you want. You build something that's clickable. Because
see, in my case,
I stuck a V10 in a Supra.
See,
things like that.
Yeah, see, things like that. See, in my case, is my brain is a little awkward.
Yeah.
And when I dream a lot and I think and I do the problem is when the idea is a little good, it gets a spark and then it goes. And from that point on, it has to happen. So that's why there's so many cars in storage, including parts. The project is not known and never started because I want to be ready.
Same.
In that moment.
Same.
Okay, that gives me a good feeling.
I collect cars because it's like a blank canvas for an idea I have in my head, and I just want to eventually see that idea out. I'm so happy you say that because people always attack me and are like, why haven't you finished that? I was like, it doesn't, I'm preparing for the future. Like, I want this now. I might not be able to afford it later, or it might not be available later, and the idea is there, and I need to start, like, bringing it to life. You're a lot better at finishing them than I am, though.
But it's the pressure.
Yeah.
It's the pressure out there because of comments like that. And so, for example, we're always building cars, and the first video will maybe be out 2028.
Yeah.
And the videos are being shot now. So because when the the audience have no idea how difficult it is.
You worked that far out.
2 years, 2.5 years.
That's incredible.
This morning, I got videos from a dyno, and engine finished, everything finished. And the first video is coming out midsummer next year.
What? You do realize that like the standard model for a lot of people is like, I work on the car this week and then I film it and I upload it. Like Mike Burrows from Stance Works is building that F40.
I know.
And it's like, people keep asking, what's going on? He said on the pod last time, he's like, what you saw in the last episode, like literally that was last week.
No, you're
a year plus
years.
out. Wow.
Years.
Has it always been that way? When did you decide to make that?
Yeah, I love numbers. I love organization. And I think at the end of the day, everything is numbers.
Yeah.
The microphone, everything. And if you have control over that, easy.
Yeah, we can get into that because I'm a huge data guy, which I think a lot of people are surprised to hear because I'm a creative, but you don't get to make a Gymkhana series be that successful for that long without really looking at numbers. Like you don't just keep making this thing. It's like you have to analyze it. You have to see what moments worked, what didn't, and then you kind of have to continue to distill it to make it better, right?
Even when people are not that way. And I also feel I'm a little bit more open always when I'm in a different country talking on interviews, because in Germany I wouldn't say that. I'm a little offended sometimes when people are not that way. I'm not offended when they will never complain.
Right.
But they will complain. And the answer or the solution is there. And my head then goes, you have two choices. Don't complain or do it. Right. Because at the end of the day, luck... I don't know. There is luck sometimes, but people love this word luck. There's no luck. No. The more you put in it, the more tickets you buy with where's luck underneath when you turn them around. And some people just buy one and go, no luck. Shit. Mm-hmm. But that's not the thing. So when you imagine some people have one and then you have 15,000 cards.
Yeah.
You'll be... And you only need one lucky card. You don't need then 10,000 or... You only need one.
Dyrdek used to have this saying, Rob Dyrdek used to have this saying, which just said, make your own luck. And I love that because it's true. It's like, if you work hard enough, the luck finds you, but you got to put the work in to find the luck sometimes. Like there are moments I'm like, we were just lucky. For example, and I think this is interesting, do you think you could do what you did starting today versus when you started in 2013, right? Like,
I was talking with Vin about this the last 3 days in a row. I think we are I think we don't know now how important this time is for cars.
Mm-hmm.
In 10, 20 years, we will talk about 2026. Like, that was right on the edge. It was right. Turning point.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question then that I ask a lot of more OG people on the show. Do you think, in your perspective maybe being slightly different coming from Germany, do you think that we are at a peak moment in car culture, or do you think we're at a lull?
Who decides what is peak, first of all? Then
you do. That's why I'm asking you for this moment.
For me, so peak for me.
You're not just you, but when you're looking around at car culture, you
when you have a mass
we're
of
healthy right
when
now.
you have a mass of so many people,
yeah,
and I was lucky to travel around the world, and then you are somewhere in China, and they love scooters, and they are in their prime, and I'm for me, they're in the same culture as me. I don't know about it and I never heard about it. So I think to say the peak is difficult when you have such a mass of people. So I think it's a very, very good question, and I would love to give the big answer, but I think it will take too much time because
trust me, this podcast got nothing but time. This audience loves a long podcast.
Okay.
The producer doesn't, but
so they love it. Okay, so I would say when you think back to the 90s, then there was magazines, and in the magazine you had a chance to see a car from a certain angle. You don't know how wide the rear wheel is, but you can guess. And many magazines had the numbers also wrong. And then stupid shit like 175 by 19. What? And so you were there in your mind. Now we have internet and we have Instagram and YouTube and all this. So the information amount is so big. You can see whatever you want. I don't know how to install this. I got 10 different languages and 20 different guys who explains me that. So we are growing culture. It's because more people get infected. Maybe somebody stands next to a guy who's not owning the car, thinks, and then you can go in your car on your phone looking for cars. But the last two things he was looking for was maybe video games. So we can infect a lot of people. So is car culture the amount of people or the quality? So the quality always when, and this is the way human beings are, when they do something often, we lose quality. Often we lose quality. And so I would say we lose quality. But then the next question is quality in yourself or in what you watch? Because when I was young and I'm looking at the magazine and I was dreaming and I didn't know what wheel is there or how it looks from the rear, from that angle, I think the quality was higher because it happened in me.
Right.
And this is something where I think we are not able to give that quality to people nowadays. Because when I see people, younger people watching Instagram, and I didn't know this function, they can't watch a video in normal speed. They push that you can push on the display, and it speeds up. And
I didn't realize that for Instagram. Like I know people listen to this podcast at 1.5, which makes us sound like chipmunks, but I didn't realize that people actually do that for IG as well. That's terrifying.
Yeah, they do. And so it's only in. And I don't think that, back to your question, is are we at the peak? Ooh.
Yeah. Do you miss the 90s?
Oh yeah. When you see my cars, I would say yeah.
It's interesting because as you were talking about that, I think something that I loved about the 90s was how uniquely different regions scenes were. Like even in the US, what we were doing in New York, which is where I'm from, was very different than what was happening in California, Florida, right, the South. They were all very unique. I used to read VW Scene magazine, which is a German mag.
I know.
And I used to read it in print. I actually had a German to English dictionary just to try to translate a few words, right? And understand that.
And something happens in you.
And there was something that made me feel when I would read those magazines, I felt like I got this peek into something I wasn't supposed to. There was a culture that I was like not allowed, like I wasn't supposed to be seeing it. And it felt so much richer to be able to do that, including lowrider magazines, right? Lowrider culture was not a New York thing. I never had a lowrider, but I thought the culture was cool. And reading those magazines felt like I had stepped into something that I was not invited to, right? And like there was something cool about that, where now everything is built to you for you to be invited. And like there is no more, I don't want to say gatekeeping, but there's no longer a threshold to go enjoy something. It's not just cars, it's everything. Like tomorrow you could become an expert in anvils if you want to by watching an entire night of YouTube.
That's true, but this is a small thing I wanted to say is young people think when they saw Instagram or YouTube video that they know.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't know.
Yeah.
This is where I have a big problem because I have 115 employees now and a lot of them are very young and would they think what they know? They don't have to do it. I saw a video. Now they know. No, that's not true. But one thing, when I was young, and my father's from the Bahamas, so I was flying back and forth as much as possible. And when I was at the airport in Miami, I bought this lowrider magazine and DuPont registry and all these things because Germany wasn't that way at all. And so I can relate very good to it.
Yeah.
And buying these American car magazines. And I also had then the connection to this scene a lot because I couldn't have stayed just in Germany and do my thing.
Yeah.
But I always knew that your culture and your way of doing it and the freedom, especially that, is the right turf, the right playground to give this culture the energy.
Is it weird then for you that myself growing up in New York spent all this time trying to emulate what was happening in Germany? Like we were importing parts from Germany. We were like building our cars to look, stretching tires, which is a tooth thing, right? Like that's why it started, was because the tires couldn't stick out. But like we were doing all these things to emulate what you guys were doing. And then there was this weird moment in the Volkswagen culture where all of a sudden Germany started building Volkswagens that looked like lowriders. Yeah. And we were like, wait a second.
Right.
Like, wait. Why are we looking at Germany for what's happening here in America?
I mean, it's very often that what the kid has on the other playground is always what we want to have.
Yeah, of course. Do you think social media is like in some ways maybe ruined car culture because it's made it like too accessible?
Many people talk about it and try to blame it for that. Do I think social media destroyed or?
Ruined. Maybe destroyed's probably, that's probably a little hyperbolic. Do you think social media has been a positive or a negative to
I think social media is too fast to take care of every new member of our car club, to give them the right information. It's like you have to go to school 10 years. Okay, we do it in a week.
Yeah.
Because they go like, this is the price for this car, and when I do suspension wheels, this is this. They go like this. I have this amount of money. I buy it, and then I go to the spot and I talk with the guys about the same shit. So then he's there. I have nothing against people like that at all. But they should maybe sometimes give a little bit more to it to fit in. Yeah. Because I think sometimes some of these people just do it for the trend.
Right, like they're doing it for the purpose of social media, not for the culture of cars.
Oh, a lot. In Germany, big time. I guess here too, but in Germany, definitely big time.
I mean, when it becomes a business, that sort of changes the whole dynamic of it, right? I mean,
female YouTubers buying a cool car.
I didn't say that, but sure, like that's a piece of it. Yeah.
I talk openly about it because they use this guy. I mean, how can I explain that correctly? They have their business.
Yes.
So how do I get people into my business?
Right.
So
you're saying OnlyFans models who buy cool cars to get boys to watch?
That. I didn't say that. You said that. So guys like cars. I buy a car, what they're dreaming of, pretending I'm going to a track day or doing this. I'm a supercar guy. So they start dreaming on another level. And then luckily, by chance, she's doing what you said. How you call it?
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Yeah. You've never seen that before. Yeah, you guys don't have that in Germany.
No, we don't.
No, you guys put your porn right out in the open.
Yeah. We get the big sets. And
look, I think
and this is what I call where social media has. I mean, I'm dreaming, or I'm talking about a time years ago. It will never change. It is the way it is, and I'm not the kind of guy who always wants that back from back in the days.
Yeah.
So it's just an adaptation. It's something like it is the way it is now. So if I like it or not, it's my decision, but it is the way it is. But I want to say this is where it mixes sometimes a little difficult.
Yeah, and look, for me, my career is based on the success of things I've done on social media. So it's like it's a weird thing to parse because in a way I miss what the culture was for me when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I wouldn't have the career I have without being involved in it. So yeah, it's like it's a weird one. There's a piece of me that wants to pull it back in. Like I think it's gotten a little, like it was really good at a moment, but I think now it's become, it's not just oversaturated. It's like, why are we doing this? Became the question. And I don't want to go too far down that line, but like Hoonigan got to this point where like we were building stuff we weren't even excited about anymore because like it was just good for clicks. And like the minute we started to lose interest in that, you start to, and I think the same thing starts to come out of a social media world too, where it's like you're doing things just to get this done.
Yes, but I think you invited me also because of a certain quality. And Hoonigan had this certain quality because sometimes when you look at it now, how fast they do it and how they do it, especially in Germany, because I was talking with Vin also about quality on YouTube, and you guys now play a game of very high quality. Because when people do YouTube, they have that amount of camera guys, and this and that, and team, and this and this. This is not existing in Germany. It's still a little bit more pure. You feel very fast. He has an idea what he's talking about or not. If you're not, I mean, it still works, but not in that level. Here, it is more like lights, tone, guys writing things and all this. Nobody has that in Germany.
That's a good point. Do you think it's better to not have all that?
100,000,000%.
Yeah.
I don't want a new TV.
That's a good conversation. We're going to take a quick break and come right back into that. Oh, hey, everybody. Here we are for another Storytime interruption brought to you by my good friends at FCP Euro. If you're at all familiar with my builds, you know that I'm not really good at, let's just say this, I'm the king of scope creep. I had an Audi Coupe Quattro that I was going to build into a 500 horsepower driver. It was a pretty simple, established recipe to do this. But no, instead, I decided to make it into a 1,000 plus horsepower race car that still doesn't run. The bad news is I also scope creep maintenance. The other day, went for a nice drive in the RS2. It was a spirited one, hit some canyon roads. Everything was great till I went around one corner and I heard a very familiar clunk. This clunk to Volkswagen and Audi, guys, is nothing other than a blown strut bearing. It happens a lot, especially when driving slammed cars. And while most people would probably be dismayed at the tedious task ahead of them, not I. I saw this as an opportunity. Yeah, an opportunity to finally fix that clicking CV joint. Get after the bushings or the brakes that needed an overhaul. You know, head on over to FCP Euro and just fill the cart with everything I can find underneath suspension, brakes, and even steering. Hey, why not? And, then take apart other parts of the car and probably never put it back together. And this is kind of what I'm known for. If you too are like this, you can go to fcpeuro.com and scope creep even the most basic maintenance. FCP Euro doesn't judge. They'll be your plug to this horrible bad habit we have. All right, so let's come back into that idea because I think this is a really interesting conversation of like what YouTube is meant for. Like, is it meant to be a place to do YouTube?
It's changing every day.
Or is it meant to be a place that's like access to TV style stuff and everyone's doing something different? Right?
I think this YouTube or whole social media is a moving, morphing ball all the time.
Yeah.
It's just changing all the time. TV, look at TV. From 80s to 90s, nothing happened.
No. Jerry
Springer then came up, some of this. Yeah. So always one person comes and brings a new energy, and then book, it makes a turn. And YouTube, or this whole social media thing, you can make a book because it's turning.
Something I found interesting when you talk about the TV stuff. So when we were younger, we had regular television, right? I'm sure it was same in Germany as it was in the US.
Yeah, we had 5 channels.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden we had the talk show got really big, right? So here we had like Jerry Springer and Ricky Lake and Maury and all these shows. And that became like this new type of low buck, high visibility kind of show.
A few years later, Germany.
And then we got The Real World from MTV. And that created the reality TV show, right? The unscripted world. Mm-hmm. And for me, I grew up before that. So like I got to watch that in a certain way. And then all of a sudden everything was unscripted. Like it was just everything was a reality TV show. The Bachelor, The Survivor, right? It's like all that was on TV. Mm-hmm. And I quite often try to think about a generation that's probably about 10 to 15 years younger than you and I. Or that's all they knew. All they knew was fake reality. It was clear that it was fake. It was clear that it was produced, but it was being presented as reality. And to me, I think that's why so many people went to YouTube. Because YouTube actually felt like reality. YouTube was a guy talking to his GoPro that actually felt there. But then we all just sort of kind of were like, okay, but we have to stand out from the rest, especially as it gets more and more saturated. And everybody wants to make something that looks different, looks nicer. I'm obviously a huge car guy, but I'm also a huge media person. Like I enjoy media, so I enjoy making things look nice.
I mean, okay. Oh, how it looks.
Yeah,
Me too.
Well, I started in magazines, but I started outside of cars. So I came from magazines.
I know.
In culture into cars. So I've always loved the art of storytelling. I've always loved movies. Like that's the thing for me. My eventual goal is to direct more and more movies, and that's the world I like to be in. So for me, that's why I sort of tend to drag the content that way, because it's my other love. But I know what you're saying. There was a pureness to the early days of Hoonigan when we did Daily Transmission that the audience we were never able to replace. How do you keep doing that though? For what is now 16 years for you.
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep that there? Yeah. Because that, I think, is the most difficult part.
100%, especially in yourself, because we're doing 5 videos a week.
No, which is incredible.
It's incredible. And 40 minutes average. And the thing is that I can't hear myself anymore because I explained and I said that 100 times. So it is so difficult to keep that up, to be still interesting for people, but then you have to understand every day new people come and other people go. Mm-hmm. And also that I enjoy myself while I do it. Mm-hmm. So then you have a feeling, I don't want to explain a central lock, or I don't want, because I did it. And then you have to think, well, it's also my business. And then you are very often not grateful for yourself, because how lucky am I? Yeah. How lucky am I that I'm able to do this? I grew up, no money. I mean, honestly, nothing. No food, nothing, right? And sometimes I sit there and I look and I think, I own all this shit? And then I check out WhatsApp and say, you got to fly tomorrow morning, do this, go on a racetrack and test a new GT3 something, and go, fuck, I don't want to go. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think, no. Relax, my friend. There is a planned version of you that you have to do, I don't know what, tomorrow morning. So be happy that you are able to do this. And this is not easy sometimes. It sounds, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no.
I think everybody has his problems, and they become always their problem. I am in a very lucky position. Somebody have maybe more luck or less luck. But for every human being, the problem is the problem. And sometimes you really have to look twice to understand if that is really a problem.
I always tell people, it's still a job, but it's a good one. It's still a job. There are days where it feels like a job. You don't want to do it in the morning, but it's not a bad one, right? Like to be out there and do all the kind of cool stuff we've done. And, I wouldn't say I came from nothing, but I didn't come from a lot growing up as a kid. Mm-hmm. And, parents didn't have a flashy house. They didn't have flashy cars. That just wasn't a thing. And I look back at it now and I'm like, man, like I got to travel the world. I got to do all this really cool stuff. Like you got to be grateful for that. But that doesn't stop me from some mornings being like, I don't want to do this. I mean, like Vinny and I will get into it because there's a business of it where Vinny's like, I got invited to go travel somewhere, to go drive something really cool, but it's like 4 days of travel. But I get to go to this really cool place to go do that, and I'm annoyed that like I have to go do this. But there's so many people out there who are like, I would go do that tomorrow. And I do think separating yourself from that is actually really difficult. I mean, it's super difficult. It's a nice problem to have. But I want to go back to how long you've been doing this, because I wonder, have you had this happen to you yet? Where someone approaches you, they're like maybe in their early 20s, and they're like, dude, I love your stuff. I started watching it with my dad when I was a kid. And you realize that you've now been making something for so long that an entire generation has grown up around it, right? Like I think about that with the Gymkhana, franchise. Like this is something that started in 2008. There are people who watched that young, grew up, had families, had kids, have now introduced their kids to it. So you have something like the new Hoonicorn Lego drops. And I've got a dad sending me a photo of him and his kid building this and saying like, man, I'm so stoked that I got my kid into this. And I'm like thinking, because like I still think of the audience in one place, and it's a fun thing to watch and experience that. But back to your initial point, you have to constantly think about like, is this the same audience I'm talking to, or is this a new audience? Am I repeating myself? Have I done this before? You know,
the age thing, and when people come to me, because in Germany, for some reason, they don't understand how my age is or how old I am. Right?
Yeah.
I'm 45.
You don't look 45. I said it before because I'm mad that you don't look my age. Cause I'm 46, but you do. You keep it a little bit younger. It's good for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But then
I'm hoping it just catches up to you one day.
Yeah, rapidly. And so they walk up to me and said, I'm watching this all my life. I said, how were you? They go, I was maybe 7. Look. And then we talk a little bit and then they ask me, how old are you? And then I go, 45. And they go, wait. Same age as my dad.
Yeah.
Or you're older than my dad.
Yeah.
You're older than my dad. You can't imagine how much pain that is. Because in his face, this JP thing, it just goes like a glass. and you feel like, I don't watch this anymore. I can't watch him. I mean, he's older than my dad. You know, and this is extreme. But in the same conversations, maybe this doesn't fit right in this thing right now, but I talk with them. I love talking with them to get an idea who's watching it. Very often they say, I don't have a driving license in Germany.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. We used to get that a lot in Hoonigan.
Because I'm asking, I'm watching this all my life and I love what you do. And they say, what are you driving? I don't have a driving license. I don't have a car.
Yeah.
And then the conversation for me is like, yeah, okay. But you want to have a car? Yeah, maybe, I don't know. You want to make a driving license? Yeah. And then I start thinking, what are you watching? And then I had a very cool phase where people in the comments write, it's funny that he still thinks we are watching it for the cars.
Yeah.
And this comment went on for a few weeks. And it really got me because I truly thought they're watching it because of the cars. But I would say 50% of the people are not watching it because of the cars.
How do you feel about that?
I was surprised that I was so wrong. Because I thought, I don't know, 95% watching it for the cars.
We had something similar sort of kind of strike us at Hoonigan where people started saying to us that they weren't into cars when they started watching Hoonigan, that they were watching it because it seemed like a great group of friends, right? Which is a weird thing because in one way you're like, I get it. It's probably one of the reasons I was attracted to like Jackass. Jackass seemed like
a group.
It was a group, and like what they did was fun, and it was certain. But like, man, I wanted to be friends with them. I wanted to be part of that group. Like I saw them as this group I could be a part of, and my friends and I emulated the things they would do. We would antique each other, throw like flour at each other while you passed out drunk or something, right? And I think there became this moment where, like, for you, a lot of people probably want to be you. Right? Like they're like, I want to be JP. You don't think so? They're not like, oh, I wish I was JP. Because I think for Hoonigan, everyone's like, I just want to be a part of the band. Like I want to be in the group.
I'm very open on the channel, and they see how much I work and how much I do, and that I'm not able to go outside in Germany anymore.
Yeah.
And people know that.
Which is crazy because you have a different kind of celebrity than any like car YouTuber has here.
You know where I felt it strongly? With Ken.
Oh. Yeah.
Ken was then in Germany.
Yeah.
And he had the signing after me.
Yep.
At the Sonax booth. It was full. Ken came and half of the people left. And I thought, I'm the startup guy.
Yeah.
And then Ken comes. And then shit's going down.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. And for some reason, I was lucky to meet so many people, famous actors and all these people. And I always felt that sometimes very famous German people, they ask them to take a picture of me and the person. And I thought, maybe there's something different. And I'm not saying this, I'm the greatest guy.
Yeah.
I think it's that I never made a difference between anybody. So they feel very connected.
Yep.
And they feel very, and I really mean it. Because I don't see a difference in anybody. You have a car, you don't have a car, okay? You do this or you do that. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm not your opinion. And maybe you're not my opinion, I don't know. But I'm always very, very, it's important for me to be very neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is for the people something where they think, I think I like this guy.
There's like this thing that I've realized, like the YouTube celebrity, whatever you want to call it. I refer to it as like economy class celebrity, right? Because like you're still amongst the people, so you have to act like the people, right? Like I have traveled with Sung Kang. Sung Kang is like real famous. Like we don't walk through the airport. We get brought outside the airport, right? Like I land in Charles de Gaulle and I'm put into a Citroen and driven to a special lounge and I never walk into the terminal. I go through private security with him. That's amazing. That's real celebrity. I sometimes sit in the middle seat, like that's a different type of thing where people know you, but you don't have the ability to like escape them. You don't have the ability to distance yourself from them. But I think something that's very different between movie star famous, which is also, I think, race car driver famous, right? Like I think a Lewis Hamilton or something like that versus YouTuber famous, right? Is that because of the way, and I think maybe it's the rawness, it's the anti-television, whatever that is, that people feel like they know you more.
There's sometimes the camera is on in some situations.
Yeah.
Where can I explain that shortly?
Yeah.
How I feel it?
Yeah.
Because the movie famous person has an edited thing that gets shown to the people, and he has a certain picture that he wants how they see them.
Very curated.
Exactly. And the YouTube is like that the camera is on in any kind of situation. He decides if he wants it online or not.
Yeah.
And this is a totally different generation of famous that's growing there.
Mm-hmm. I think that this new famous or whatever, it's weird to apply the word famous, but I guess it is very much what it is. There feels like there's no boundary. So for example, when I first started traveling with Ken, I was always there. People would walk up to me and would say, "Hey, can I get an autograph with him? Can I get a photo with him?" They'd ask me like I'm his fucking handler.
Because you're
like
so
a bodyguard.
Big. Yeah, you're a bodyguard. Yeah. I mean, big old trucks are bodyguards.
I knew you were going to bring it in. I knew you were going to bring it in. That's his nickname for me. It's our love language. But like, but people would come to me and be like, "Oh, can I?" He's standing right fucking next to me. Like, just ask him, right? But then when I started to have a certain amount of like notoriety and people would recognize me, there was no barrier of entry. Like people would interrupt me at dinner with my wife. People would just come up and they wouldn't be like, it wasn't like, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" It was like, "Dude, how's the coupe going? What's up with the rabbit?" Like as if I had ran into a friend. Do you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times
I do.
A lot of times I didn't know if I knew them or not. So I would just be like, yeah, I would just start having a chat. And then at the end, finally, they'd be like, "Hey, can we get a photo together?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure." But like that wasn't the original intention. Like the original intention was to create a connection. And that is something that I realized is extremely valuable. It's a very different connection that you have in this YouTube, whether it's parasocial, whatever you want to call it. It's a very different connection you end up having with an audience than you do as like a tried and true celebrity, right? A sports athlete, a movie star, or something like that.
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
Isn't it also, because I know exactly what you mean, but when you feel over years, and in my case it's now nearly 20 years, that when people start this conversation to get a picture, isn't there something happening in you?
What do you mean?
That they ask these questions, but actually they just want to have a picture. Because in me, something broke a little bit because they are just not brave enough just to ask directly. So they do this thing. In my mind, it's just, don't give me this. Just ask for the picture and then
See, I think you are 100 times more famous than I've ever been. So for me, I have a very core group of people who actually have the same interests as me. So, and I enjoy talking. So like, I think the people have come up to me who just wanted a photo and then they're like, oh my God, Scott, I won't shut the fuck up. So we might be different there, you know. We might be a little different there. So because I've seen the Fandemonium.
I imagine how he is looking to the group of his friends like, yeah, cool, yeah. I'm gonna watch it on YouTube.
He's like, I just recognize him because I saw him with Ken. He just won't shut up about his rabbit.
You want to have my number? Maybe we can talk on the phone.
On WhatsApp. I can try to group chat. Me, JP, and Vinny.
Oh boy!
But I mean, I've seen the Fandemonium that you've dealt with. Like, you know, I've been to your spot in Dortmund, and it's like there was thousands. It felt like there was like hundreds of people just standing there waiting for you to walk outside. Which is, it's a lot. It's a lot. So
Yeah,
I get that from your side.
Working in Disneyland.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And your Mickey Mouse.
I want to rewind a bit back because we jumped right over it. I want to talk about, because you've built so many cars. Do you have like a top 5
builds?
Yeah, or like a top 10. Like, what are they? Or even just what currently is your top 5. Like, it doesn't have to be your all-time greatest. But like right now, when you're looking at it, you're like, these I'm really excited about.
And now's the thing. The time.
Yeah.
Because we are building something from 28, what I don't want to talk about, but this is absolutely in that. I show you a picture.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That doesn't look like a car a YouTuber would build. That looks like something that would be like revealed at, you know, all right. Yeah, that's pretty damn cool.
3 years.
But that makes sense because it looks like something an automaker would reveal at like an auto show.
Yeah. Or, so the Beetle, I think is a very, very cool car because it feels really out of the video game.
Yes.
The Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Then the Volvo with the 2 Tesla P100D engines has also a very high level of complete. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. We built a 140i.
Okay.
But the body of an M2, but it has the hatchback. So it's a wide body. So it's like a Z3.
Yeah.
But in the modern world, and has 1,000 horsepower. I like this. It's nothing super special.
Yep.
But when you look at it, it feels nice. The Jaguar gets very cool. It's a lot of work.
I completely missed it, but I got to look at it this morning. Yeah, it's pretty cool
looks pretty cool. And then in the moment, also what we're building right now. Also, I can only.
I love that you're only thinking about the cars you're currently building that don't come out for 2 years. You have 120 some odd cars. Mm-hmm. You're having a hard time naming more than 4.
First of all, check this out, okay?
Oh wow!
Wait.
Oh my God, that thing's beautiful. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So it's a Nissan.
And when's that?
This will start. The first video is coming out in August.
Okay.
So it's okay.
That's not too far.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind building that? You've had a couple before.
I still have them.
Yeah.
And it's always all-wheel drive. And I wanted to do something with the cheap version of it in rear-wheel drive and make it a GT3 and look alike like the R36 could have. How could it look? Because I think the R36 versions that they show right now.
Yeah.
No. So I wanted to do something that is 34-like, not a 35, and something.
Well, you just gave away that it's a Skyline. So yeah, that's fine. All right. So a car that's one of my favorite that you built, just because I feel like it's really unique and
Golf.
Is the Golf, the Mark II Golf.
Yeah.
But I remember when I looked at it, I was really disappointed that it had basically a stock VR6 in it. And
not anymore.
But at the time it did. And when I called you out on it, you said, yeah, if it didn't, I couldn't drive it here in Germany. And this was like a bubble bursting moment for me. As a child, grew up, got it first into Volkswagens, loved German cars, loved all the culture around tuning in Germany, all the history there. And I think I just wasn't paying attention to like what was happening in Germany with car culture, because and at that point, I went through the process of like TÜVing my own car. Is it TÜV, right? TÜV, saying it right? Which is TÜV to all of you who see that stamp.
Technischer Überprüfungsverein.
There you go. That's the stamp that's on all the quality wheels. If it's TÜV, then it's proper. And I went and proofed that S2 that I bought, and it was a huge nightmare. And I think what Reuven said was the guy who TÜVed it had 2 blind eyes, yeah, and no fingers. It's like something like that. And so, like, I didn't really realize how difficult that is. I mean, you come to California and you are like, I love the freedom you have here with car culture. We're all sitting here in California feeling like that's all disappearing. But it seems like Germany's in a much worse place now. Because for me, I went back to Germany to go look at tuner cars and realized they all went to Poland. Like, I realized that the culture has just disappeared from Germany. Like, when really did that start happening? And like, I realized that's been a big part of sort of your time in Germany, like as an auto creator, that like you've been dealing with this, which is like something I just never really thought
19.
about. Yeah.
19, it really started hard.
Really bad, yeah.
Yeah, really bad. And I talk with this daily in America because you guys complaining, saying, yeah, this and that and that. And I say it, but when you tell somebody something and he does not understand how much I mean it, you have no idea. You have no idea what problems mean. Because you're telling me with the Corvette, right now. So, yeah, man, smog and this and that. You can't drive like that. Next sentence is, but the cops don't care.
Right.
Okay, so what? Is it that the problem is there or the cops don't care? Because in our case, we have 30 times more things and the cops, they do care.
You do get caught.
The car's just gone.
See, the thing here is in the U.S., to be a car enthusiast in California especially, like you just have to agree that you're going to break laws. But it's a dice roll if you're going to get caught. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're probably not going to get caught.
What happens then?
It's like 1 in a couple hundred get caught.
Yeah, but what happens then?
It depends. I mean, sometimes they will take your car and impound it, or they'll force it out of. Yeah, if you have.
So let me paint a picture.
Right now, you can get what's called state refed in California, which means that your car is shown to be illegal for emissions purposes or something like that. The car is no longer allowed to drive in California. You either have to
forever.
You either have to sell it out of state or you have to return it back to what it was and then get it refed again.
Daily business.
Yeah,
in Germany, daily. I mean, on daily. So I see, the way your eyes were like, you have to sell it out of the state or you have to build it back. It's like,
Seems like a huge inconvenience for us currently, but it seems, but where you guys are, it's a lot worse.
It's, the country is trying to make sure, I don't want that anybody likes cars. Just use it to come from point A to point B. This is the only reason. That when you think of cars, I want you that you have the only thought of, it has a door, steering wheel, and then I can go to the other place.
Do you realize how different that seems from the appearance we have? Because for us, we're like
Autobahn.
Porsche, BMW, like Audi, the Autobahn, DTM. Like we just think of this really cool car culture there. And also
keep it in mind.
And also all the great tuners that came out of there, like historic tuners.
All gone.
Yeah, I guess
tell me one. Schnitzer, gone.
Yeah.
All these,
or they just do racing, right? Like an Opt or something like that.
No, the name is still there, but there's other people. So it is if you love cars and you live in this country, it's one of the saddest stories you can really think of. Even the manufacturers they're fighting with problems and they have stuff to do what you never think of. And I see always an office, the TUV guys. So we made that much money. What else can we invent to make more problems? Let me think. And I go, we can make them pay to do this and that and that. Yeah, that's good, Bernd. Yeah, let's put this on the table. Yeah, that's a good idea. And this happens every day. We have regulations for things you won't believe.
So there's 3 things right now that are moving in the news in the U.S. One is that in Minnesota, there is a conversation around collector plates. So it means that you've registered your car as a collector car. You're now only allowed to drive your car on weekends.
We don't have collector plates.
Which is like, I know, but it's like a huge scare to car collectors, because the thought that like eventually could there be a world where like we're only allowed to drive our cars certain days. Obviously, this is a bill to become a law, so it hasn't even passed yet, but people are worried about it. Second one is that we are here, there's this new patent from Ford where and I don't want to get this wrong, but there's some sort of facial recognition software that they have in the cars now that reports immediately to the police.
Ford? Well, why is Ford doing that shit?
Man, that's a whole other conversation, right? And then we also have this other thing called right to repair, which is that basically the U.S. manufacturers are saying, and and then global manufacturers as well, are saying that you're not allowed to work on our cars. So like that, you cannot fix that car because we own the IP of the technology in that car, and now because you need to be able to plug a laptop in, we're not going to give you access to that. These three things are sort of coming together to create a bit of a conspiracy theory that like eventually they're going to be able to just shut down our ability to do anything. And like one of the four things
with the new cars.
With new cars, but they're also going to try to limit our ability to drive old cars. Again, I'm going to place this as, I don't know if I fully believe this, but it's a bit of conspiracy theory in car community now that's where it's going. But it kind of feels like you guys are already there in a way in Germany.
Yeah, we absolutely are. But I think they're very, very different. In America, the government listens a little bit. They listen to the people.
It's because we got guns, but yeah.
Yeah. See, in Germany, they don't. You can vote whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. They do exactly what they want. You can say, I want a blue, red.
Yeah.
So, and let's say 100% of the people, really 100% of people say, I want a blue. There you have your red car. And now it starts that the people are not accepting it anymore. Let's put it this way.
Right.
Kind of late.
Let me ask you a question. As someone who is...
But we don't know what we're going to do now. So it's just the energy gets higher. Like you said, funny.
Yeah.
You have guns. But we going like, yeah. But how are we going to do that?
Yeah, look, I guess as I look to you to ask the question of like, how do you keep car culture alive through that? Because you've now been doing stuff for 6 years since it's gotten really bad. But
explaining that it helps you in your mind, that it is a very nice thing to have something that you work on and brings you somewhere. It gives you a space where you can sit in. It gives you smell. It gives you emotions. It gives you memories. Mm-hmm. It brings you to memories. To explain to you that the human being was always moving. Ships, horses, everything. And I think that very, very deeply in every human being, moving is a very important thing. So jogging is also a big thing. But I think cars is also a big thing. It comes with money. Because you can run. We can just go outside and just run. So this is why I think it gets, in certain groups of people, especially in Germany, very offended. Because they don't like that you are able to buy this and I'm not able to buy this. And so I think cars are way more emotional and way more important than we think. Very often when we delete something, we find out later that we say, well, wasn't that bad, right? Because I think it's also crazy that if we would put all this energy and all this money into emission, how the petrol engine works and how all this works, and to modify it even better, honestly, emission-wise, we're fine. And also synthetic petrols and all this, we are fine. And when there's no more gas, okay, there's no more gas. Got it. No more gas. But that we can change. But I think we should always try to keep things, and this is now something what many people don't understand, that is just for you. If it's a Fiat, if it's that, or if it's a go-kart, or it's a motorbike, or it's a bicycle, we need something. And now I said also bicycle. If your body, if your brain decided it is a car, then it is a car.
Yeah, I look, you don't have to sell me on the idea. Like for me, I think car culture is hugely valuable, especially to
it's more than a car.
To young adults. I mean, it gave me a community. it gave me escape from bad communities.
It gave you energy to
do
work harder.
things. It gave me motivation. It was a carrot to not do other things. I mean, I grew up in...
And then think about it's just a car. But look what you said, how much it gave to you.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's just tires and a steering wheel.
Oh, but it's way more than that.
Exactly.
I mean, it's something to spend your time thinking about. It's something to build friendships over. You and I, you live in Germany. I live here in California.
I'm sitting in your garage. Right?
You're sitting in my garage because of cars. But also, I think especially for young adults, and like, I don't know about in Germany, but in America right now, we have like a major problem for like, especially young men. It's like, what do we go do right now? Right? Like, give them a focus. It's like, for me, growing up in the 90s, in a scary time in New York where like crime and drugs was the route most of my friends took, cars and BMX bikes, two things that gave me mobility, is what got me out of that. It's what changed my path from all of my friends, right? So for me, I will strongly defend why, even if there's an emissions thing or there's this, like, as a whole, car culture is a positive impact to culture.
Yes.
Right? Like, and when I say culture, I mean large scale society, right? But I want to go back to the question for you is, how do you, as sort of like a leader in the automotive space in Germany, deal with watching this decline and trying to keep people positive and excited about car culture when it seems like it's almost impossible? Because I think that is a huge fear, especially with the younger generation now, is like, well, I don't want to buy this car and modify it only to have CHP pull me over and cost me all these problems, and it's more of a deterrent to get into it, versus where when I was a kid, I mean, America was pretty free. Other than having tints on the windows, we pretty much could do whatever the hell we wanted with our cars in the 90s, you know.
So I'm trying every day to make little human beings fall in love with technology, because nowadays, when you swipe and you like something or you can comment something and just duck. The big difference is with technology is when it's not working, it's not working. When it works, it works. When it breaks, you can make it work. This is something what is, I think, very important for every growing human being to understand that it's not about he can do it, or I can ask him to understand. I can do that. I can make it work. I can make it move. I can make all these things. And I'm trying every day to find people to feel that. And my key to that is, and this is something what I don't see so much in the American YouTube thing, I think it's humor, knowledge. Humor, knowledge. Because when you don't laugh, you can only listen nowadays. Young people can only listen for 30 seconds. Max, brain closed, thinking about all kinds of stuff in the room. Yeah. So make him laugh again. Oh, brain door open again. Knowledge. Laugh, knowledge. If you just, because some YouTubers try to use it to show how smart they are. I can explain it so difficult that you don't have a fucking idea what I'm talking about. And then the video's over, and I want him to think, I know so much, and you don't know anything. So this is absolutely not my route. For me, it is very important to explain it the way that it is super related to something what everybody knows in life, a door or a club or anything like that, and make him laugh.
And even as it gets harder and harder to become a car enthusiast through that period, you think just connection to that content is a reason for them to be like, I want to go build this. Like if I'm a young German and I come up to you and I'm like, I want to build a car. What should I build, JP? What should I go do? And I'm
Golf 4.
And then the kid builds it and he gets in trouble because he breaks all the two, and then loses his car. Is that what happens? Like cars get impounded?
Yeah.
Gone.
If he's the right guy, yeah. Can happen.
That sucks.
It does.
We get that here for violations, like driving violations, street racing, stuff like that, takeovers.
Yeah, here too. This takeover shit comes to Germany.
It's fucking bad.
No, it comes to Germany now too.
It's bad. It's what has accelerated the problem we have here in the U.S. And And rightfully so. Like I have
100%. It's stupid.
Like you came into my neighborhood. It's pretty nice here. Fucking, they were doing donuts in the intersection down the block from me.
No.
Oh yeah. And like, as the guy who did Hoonigan, I'm kind of like, well, fucking A. But
I imagine you walking down the street. Hey, can you? Aren't you Brian Scotto? Yeah,
I actually did yell at some kid for doing donuts at an event I was at, and the guy was like, "You're the dude from Hoonigan." I'm like, "Yeah, but like we did it safely. There's fucking children here. What the fuck are you thinking?"
Yeah.
And this is bad for all of us.
Same.
You know.
See, we got 15,000 people a week coming to our shops, coming in.
Yeah.
And they're reffing. Yeah. I walk by.
By the way, for those who don't know, your shop is pretty incredible. I just want to paint the scene. So it's like really cool building, some cars on display. There's a burger shop. There's a dyno that feels like a theater. Like you literally built a dyno where you can just kind of come up and check that out. And then down the block is this awesome museum that has a bunch of your cars, but also has like just some of the more important and legendary cars in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you had our Donk there. So obviously most important cars.
Yeah, most important.
But just to kind of, because it's not just a shop. Like I just want to get it clear to the audience that they're not just pulling up with like a single door open. Like it is, it feels like an activation or like it's almost like an amusement park for car guys in a way on a small scale, right? Like there's that element of that. Like that you have this cool thing.
And maybe the future gets cooler.
Every time that I've been there, I leave going, this is what the model is. Like this is what was cool, right? Like if I had stayed with Hoonigan, where we would have gone was that. And Henderson and I had talked about that kind of concept of like building brick and mortars that could be this really cool place that people can come to, and it becomes like the hangout on a Saturday, the destination to go there. And like you get to experience the brand, you get to buy some things, there's a commercial element to it, but it also feels like a home to us car enthusiasts, which is like something you have done very well at building Dortmund. So I just want to give you your flowers on that. So anyway, you're at the shop.
So I see this guy reffing. And I walk up, hey, when you leave the parking lot, please keep it cool. And he looks at me like, oh, this is JP. I said, no, for sure, I will not.
Yeah.
10 meters later. And I understand when you're 18 and you have your car and 30 people looking at you, you worked for this thing and you pull off. You say, this is my moment. And it really happened. They look at me and I got eye contact and I go like, and he goes, I will send it all the way. And they can't stop it. And he goes full. And I talked with him 30 seconds before. They can't.
Yeah, so we used to do this event at Irwindale Speedway, and it was where we started Burnout. So it's basically like all the things we would do in that small parking lot in Long Beach, on a big kind of show experience.
I've been there.
Did you come to the Irwindale event?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like we do at
only
SEMA.
A year, one and a half years was able to do that, right? And then they closed it down.
Yeah, because it was COVID happened, and then everything kind of slowed down. But anyway,
I've been there.
At the end, I would stand in front of the audience, and I would say, the only reason we get to do this is because you don't leave like an asshole. And I'm like, let me explain what that looks like. And I was like, today, the police are waiting on the on-ramp for you. Do not leave like an asshole. 6 cars pulled off on the side of the off-ramp. It's like they just can't help themselves. It's like they just can't help themselves. And I get it. And look, I was a bit of that kid when I was younger. So
yeah.
I used to go to H2O and Waterfest, and we just be doing burnouts everywhere and front-wheel drive cars, which is, you learn later. Its own crime. You have to do a rollback first, and your friends are holding you back. When your friends can hold back your car, that shows you how little horsepower and grip you have.
You're not playing. Yeah.
Legal disclaimer. It might actually be illegal to wear Heatwave's polarized ultra black lenses while driving. But if you spend a lot of time in violently bright conditions, like snow or in the desert, then these lenses are going to be perfect for you. Traditionally, sunglasses have an 11% VLT rating, but these are cranked all the way down to 6%. That's limo tint for your eyes. They also provide a great level of ocular privacy for when you're looking at something you shouldn't be. I'll be wearing them tonight while I'm sat next to my wife, scrolling Marketplace. Avoid being blinded at heatwavevisual.com. Some people are extremely organized. Super sorted workbenches, garages, and lives. I am not that person. I'm a mess. Luckily, Wera can help. When you buy their toolkits, they offer matching foam inserts. Maybe it's a mental condition of mine, but there's something about an empty slot that just screams at me to go find that missing 10 millimeter before it vanishes forever. Plus, the inserts fit perfectly into Wera's stainless steel rolling cabinets, which come both in regular and double XL. For those of you like myself who collect tools. Go check them out at weratools.com. What's that old saying? Don't ever meet your heroes. Unfortunately, this applies to cars too. As my buddy Ken Block discovered when he bought his Ford RS200. To say it politely, the suspension sucked. So we went to KW to fix it on their 7-post suspension rig. Some say it was misappropriated in the middle of the night from an F1 team, and it once knocked out the power grid of a small village. But what we do know for certain is that this machine allows KW to create any test conditions needed to best develop their suspension across the entire product line. Go check out kwsuspension.com and get yourself a kit developed on this insane 7-post technological torture device. Suspension rig. Speaking of old, what'd you get into first? What got you into cars? Was it Volkswagens? Was that your first kind of thing?
I mean, I was lucky because of the no money situation. I got together with the daughter of the boss of the Porsche dealership. So my ass was in a 993, 964 very early.
Oh, you fucked your way to the top. Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, I remember that very clearly. He gave me the keys. He said, you got to bring this car to Düsseldorf. And I walked the parking lot. Like in a dream.
Yeah.
Really, honestly. Car. And the first thing I remember was my foot goes beneath the front window. So you feel, I'm on the window. Very close. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I was looking for the key. Oh, okay. Left side. Started. Engine in the back. It's when you don't have any experience, it's normally in the front. So I heard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then try. And then the clutch from a 964. 18 years.
Yep. Also, the bottom hinge is weird when you get used to the pedals. Yeah.
Right. So get it going. And no music on, and I was driving, young. And I felt, that's me. That's me. And not the acceleration, it was just like you felt that this car was put together to make people feel that way.
Yeah.
And then it happened.
And that was it. That was opened it up for you.
Yeah. I mean, before that too, but it was so unrealistic for me.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. I mean, I did not think that I will own a car. Maybe I will own a car in my life. Never a new one. Never something,
Never 126 amazing project cars.
No.
Not in the plan.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice, right?
It is still, I catch myself and I'm waiting that I wake up.
Yeah.
I think, I can't, no. Oh, I think I made a deal maybe somewhere with the devil. I don't know what it can't be, man.
Yeah, there's something really nice about that. Everything I have is something I never expected to have. So it's just that much sweeter because of it. It's just nothing ever felt entitled. I never thought I'd own a Ferrari, granted an older one, but I never thought I'd own a 911. I was really happy being a Volkswagen kid. I was stoked to have a Mark 1. And a Mark 3 felt really nice to me when I got one, and I never really wanted more than that. And it's funny because I'm actually now in a way where I've gone back to that. I've gone back to the simpleness of those things
100%.
and don't actually enjoy the other things.
That's
but it's nice to be able to have it.
That's why the price also goes so high, because we now understand that, look, in 2010, we were dreaming, God, 2040, that must be so fast and so loud, so extreme, because we thought it will go on. And the energy was there in the industry, and then this thing came up. First, we were afraid of autonomous driving and all this. And I would drive myself. Okay. Well, not so interesting anymore. And then electric cars. They want us to drive. Everybody has to drive electric cars. So we got afraid. And then emission got more strict and all this. And new cars come out. They read very exciting. Numbers. Okay, maybe design, not really my thing. And you fall in love. You think, okay, they're going to want to have this. You got to wait 1 year. And then you sit in the car and it lasts for 60 minutes. After 60 minutes driving this, you feel like, that's the huge display. That's 1,000 horsepower. And yeah, okay, got it. People look at me because they think I'm rich. Cool. Done. And then you sit in the E46 M3. First of all, acceleration takes time. My foot is long on the pedal, but it's good. Because in the new cars, if you stay on it for 5 seconds, you are in deep shit.
Yeah, you've committed a crime.
Even in Germany. Shit's going down. In E46, you going. And when you're honest to yourself, you don't have this thing like 2010. I want to have the newest stuff because it will be better and faster and faster. Now we're hunting emotions and feelings and sounds and pureness. So everybody goes back. And because I think we had the best car time in the world.
When do you think that was?
In emotions?
Yeah. What do you think was the best era?
95, 98.
I'd agree with you there. Vinny and Ron strongly pushed for like early to mid 2000s.
I'm
Evo 8, Evo 9, E46, things like that all came. That era was really good, but
it was.
But it might be our age. But I think it's hard to argue that 2015 was the greatest moment. Like if you were to add another 10 years, like there's something happened in 2008, 2009 where it all just started to change and not for the better.
Infotainment got so important, and I enjoy infotainment, to be honest. When I have to drive somewhere, I enjoy it. But when you look in the E46, when you have the big navigation system, what you can see is nothing. And people were happy with the normal radio, or in a Golf 4 when you have. A radio had a display. I mean, I have to put my fingers like like this.
Oh yeah,
like this. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, no, honestly, have it in front of your eyes. It's like this big. New S-Class or something like this. We got displays. I can't show it. So where in this car industry we went from this to this.
I know.
And this can show you what it decides what's to show you. I mean, how can I explain that? You can maybe switch it 3 times, and then you get 3 different things. This shows you the world.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Too much.
Yeah.
And it's extremely distracting. And also, it ages really badly. Like, there's something about, like, you get into, like, I sit in my RS2, it's like, it feels like it just still works.
Golf 4.
But I get into a 2013, and it feels, like, old.
Yeah. But there was a time, I think it's always a wave. A Golf 4, I think, is one of the best Golfs ever.
Oh, really?
1 and 4. And 7. 7 is good.
Is a good car, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you have this a Golf 4. Now I love it. But when there was a Golf 6, a Golf 4 wasn't that nice. Because then it has this ditch. And then it comes up again. And I think this happens nearly with everything. There was a time, a 360, I was saying, I don't like it. The headlights and everything. Nah, I don't know. And now, yeah, 360.
Yeah, because Ferrari took a really weird turn. All of a sudden, you're like, ooh, future classic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so much is happening. That's why I'm saying what I said in the beginning is I think in many years, we will say 2026, That was an important year or important time from 2020 to 2030.
And important in what matter? Like the culture, cars that are available. Like what?
We made the turn that cars look very different.
Mm-hmm.
Body shapes, size, function.
Do you think we're going back a little bit though? Because I feel like in the United States. Well, when I say backwards, I'll clarify that.
Yeah.
In the United States, we went through the everything's going EV from about 2020 to about last year.
Germany.
And last year is, I think, when everyone woke up. I mean, when I was working with Audi was like, yeah, the future's electric.
Yeah.
And clearly it's not anymore. Clearly Audi's like, nah, we're going to give you guys RSs. Yeah. You want that in an Avant too? Yeah, we'll give you that too. And it's like they're realizing that they probably went too far down that line, right? That there was this thought, there was a mandate from people that this is what we wanted, but people didn't really want it.
They found out.
I also think the technology is not really there yet. Drive an EV in America from here to Vegas with only one charging station in between and realize like, yeah, the infrastructure is not really there. Like it works for cities. It's great. I don't mind it, but it's not what people were going to be. And all of a sudden there was this turn back, but I really only find really high-priced cars to be exciting. And I don't like high-priced cars. I feel like there's this major like void in what we had as kids, the GTI and, you know, the SI, right? Like with Type R, like these accessible hot hatch. It doesn't really feel like that's a community anymore. There's the GT86, like there's the, BRZ, whatever. Obviously, there's the new Type R, but like that community just doesn't feel like it's there. It feels like, there's GT3 RSs. Like, yeah, well, fucking, you buy a house for that. Like the level,
and they're young kids that have these cars,
which is wild.
I don't understand how they do that.
In LA, it's pretty normal.
In Germany, we have it in Germany too.
Yeah,
and LA and Germany, where I live, is a huge difference.
Yeah,
but they have that. But what I want to say about the Audi thing, what you just said is, the car manufacturers. It sounds so simple, but it's very, very true. They just found out, hey, we can't go on email if they don't buy the cars, if we don't get money. No, it sounds silly because they were used to, they made their own problem. We bring something out and they buy it, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And now we're changing to that and we explain it cool that they will buy it. Or they're not buying it. And then we teach them from day one, how the emotion has to look and what you like. So the same person is now saying, yeah, I know last year I said that the tailpipes from an RS6 are that big and they look like that and it sounds like that. And I know I said it was cool, but now this is cool. So this will not work that easy. And so you teach over years also a certain dream and emotion. So you also very quietly, what nobody talks about, you're trying very rapidly changing their dream. Because not everybody's able when they see, they buy. So you dream something what is maybe 8 years old and can get it then 8 years later. So he's still in his dream.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, nah, that's it. No, I don't want to have it. No. This is it. and many companies do it different ways. I mean, this company did it that way. And
who do you think is doing it right now?
BMW.
Yeah.
Porsche.
I don't love the look of the modern BMW.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a BMW guy to begin with, so it's a hard one to look at.
Yeah.
But I respect what they are as a car.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I can't deny the quality of a BMW.
No, the package.
It's great. It just for some reason, I don't know. It just was like
I understand. I think Porsche and BMW, they do very good jobs in keeping the emotion in 2026 the way it is legal, and
for me, I especially in the US, like I think Toyota is actually
very good. Yeah,
I think they're showing up right now with like they continue to be doing more stuff in performance. They actually, I just read something yesterday that they're building a kart, like a go-kart for $2,200 or something, and so they're going to probably start to roll out some sort of series around that that's around GR. It's like I think that they have shifted from being like almost the anti-performance group, which is what we saw them at. It's like the mid-aughts, right? The Prius was all anyone cared about from Toyota. They didn't make anything that was cool. And now it's like there's a bunch of good stuff.
Toyota is absolutely out there. And in Germany, for what you can get, I think I like Ford products in the moment a lot.
Yeah, we don't really have Ford cars. So, I mean, the Raptor's cool, but like Ford, we have Mustang, but like there's nothing else.
No, they're doing good. What else?
I mean, here in the U.S., like obviously there's like Dodge, and they make 1,000 horsepower, huge things. Like not my cup of tea, but I still give it to them. They're building the modern muscle car. Like it's still fun and performance oriented.
1,000 gasoline?
Whatever that. Yeah, they're whatever. Like one of the.
I mean, no, the ZR1. I just drove one.
Yeah, there you go.
The day. Whoa.
Yeah.
What the hell? And I know them very well in many other German, companies. They go, Corvette coming out, new car, The lap record, what a joke. That power, that time. Wait until other guys drive this car the same lap time on a Nordschleife.
Yeah.
The potential in that beast is not bad. And I know in some other companies, they sitting there and go, well, our next model, because they're always 7-8 years behind.
Yeah.
It will not beat the car that is out there now. It's so fast.
Oh, yeah. Genesis?
Yeah.
Did you see the thing they released yesterday? The Magma?
This week.
GT3 program. Like that stuff gives me hope.
Yeah.
Because I felt like for the longest time, all we were seeing
in Germany.
was EV concepts.
Yeah. No,
and now we're starting to see performance concepts start to come back again. Like that gives me a little hope.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the laws seem to not want that to happen.
So there's a part or a friendship or a job in me that I don't talk on YouTube so much. Yeah. So I'm very much involved in all these things. I just showed you a car, for example. This is not so easy to do.
Yeah.
And so I know all these cars, and I can promise you they all have that. But they never see light. Not in pictures, not in promotion, nothing. So they feel it's the right time, and they just ignite the ideas or the project cars that they have. And I can tell you, we are dreaming of, they should bring out another dude. They have 3-4 different versions of it. But some board leader, some guy says, nah, we're not showing it. It's sometimes very sad. And they are sellers, or they get crushed or something where you think, my opinion is, if you bring this out, very, very successful, and then it dies.
I mean, the RS6 Avant in the US is a really good example of it because they never brought wagons here. No one thought anyone wanted a fast wagon, which is why I had to come to your place to pick up my RS2 because it was never something they thought the Americans wanted. And then the RS6 Avant came here and it was selling like 40 over sticker. Like it was, everybody wanted it. And then they're realizing, oh, well, maybe there actually is a market for it. And it also created a new halo for Audi because I think for a while, Audi just kind of became
flat.
Yeah, they became like, they looked like everything else, right? Audi in the US had this really nice moment in the early 2000s. The B5, the TT, the R8, right? Really kind of set them, right? And it was this great place. And then we got the RS4 later in 2007. And then they just kind of got, meh. And I think the RS6 Avant came out here and people started looking at Audi in a completely different way again, right? Like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Yeah. And
the designer.
Brands need these halos. I know.
Mark.
Yeah.
He's a very, 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 very cool guy and a very good friend.
Yeah.
And he's not at Audi anymore.
Oh, okay. Did he happen to design the new...
No.
What do you think of that? What is it called again? That's it. Nuvolari. Yeah.
So... That's the first time I better skip the question, maybe.
All right, I'll give you my opinion then.
No, it's not like that. It's like
you're involved in the conversation.
Go on. Explain to me what you think about it.
I guess I kind of understand where they're going, and I love Audi. I mean, not only do I love Audi, I have a lot of friends who work there, right? Timo, right? I mean, a bunch of people who over there who are really great, but I look at that car and I think what makes Audi great is that they're very good at doing they do subtle aggressively, Like they know how to do like very subtle with an aggressive piece to it. The RS4, B5, the current RS6, that car feels like it's trying too hard. And I don't think Audis try hard. The reason I like Audi is because it's an understated car, right? And it is handsome, right? D2 S8. To me, that is a perfect car. It is just simple, but it's like very handsome. It's like
It was also very close to the prototype.
Yes. And that world, like that design language, the TT was certainly a design. It was Audi stepping outside of their zone. And in a way, that car actually didn't like live long well from a design point of view. It was really cool when it came out, and every magazine and every auto show was like, this feels like the future. And then it got really dated. Right. But most of their stuff stays iconic. Like you look at a D2 S8 and you're like, yeah, that still looks great. A B5 still looks great.
Amazing.
I still think even, my RS2 B4 era, like there's still something about that. You're like, that car is really handsome.
But the Porsche vibe helps a lot.
Of course. I don't think that this current thing will age. And it's already polarized. There's a whole group of people who hate it. And I'm not saying I hate it. But then there's a whole group of people who are like, "Oh, this is super cool because it's different for the sake of being different."
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Would you think that something can be that way, like you said, age well or be very nice in the future when there are thousands? Or 10,000? I mean, 100,000. Would you think that's possible?
You mean that it still looks really good in the future, like,
and that people admire it?
The 911. I mean, the 911 is not a small volume vehicle.
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's true.
Even back in the day, they made a lot of them, and it's just a classic silhouette. The Mark I Rabbit,
the Mini,
that like is a fantastic. I think there's certain,
but I think in
designs,
R6,
but those designs, every design I just mentioned, there's a subtleness to them. There's like in E30 M3, like there's certain things that just work. And I think that they pushed a little too hard, and it feels like they're trying very hard. And that, to me, seems very un-Audi. And that's the problem, is that people are still, like, the person who's buying that, they want to buy it because it's an Audi. The R8 was the supercar in a sport coat. Like, it was like, it was wearable. It was like, I could drive it to go to the, the movies, where the Lamborghini was not. Right. And I think like that.
And they were the same cars.
Yeah, they were the same cars. Right. And it's like that, I think, is a really nice place where Audi has lived. And this feels like, that they've left that. And obviously, a lot of people are saying there's Cybertruck influence and all these other things. And I don't know. It's just, when I looked at it,
maybe somebody wanted to make a statement.
I wanted to love it. And that makes it even harder for me to not like it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I walked in the door wanting to like it.
Yeah. Maybe somebody wanted to make a statement.
Yeah. It's definitely a statement car.
Yeah, also.
And look, they're only going to make 500 of them. Like, they'll sell them. It's not going to be a problem.
No, for sure.
I just don't know if it's the poster halo car that Audi needs right now.
I think design-wise, there's a few spots, only from my opinion, that are not working very well. I think that Audi, in the moment, in their project or prototypes, putting a lot of weight in their design point in the middle of the car. They're cutting the car very much into two pieces. So the door line has a very big attention. When you look at the door line, it's nearly invisible. And so they're making sure that you recognize where you open and where the middle is. And in this case, I would say it looks like two cars in one. The rear and the front.
The rear feels like an old Murcielago. It has like that shape.
Has this vibe.
And the front feels like Veyron coated or something.
I think it's very difficult if you have big surfaces or big when you have after the B pillar going all the way to the back. If you do that way and have that high of a shoulder and have not so much attention into detail in that plate, a car can become very easily heavy. It looks very silly, because from the B pillar to the front, it's a working thing. It has an idea. It has nostalgic ideas how cars looked back in the days from Audi, and it works. But And the rear itself, it works. But in between from B to the rear, it has no emotion for these kind of cars.
Right.
It looks heavy. It
does look heavy.
It looks wrong.
It's funny when you just said it, I guess I didn't really think back to like the early Audi designs. Like I guess that's where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
Is like the Auto Union era.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if that's a good place to pull inspiration from
think people
for a
don't know.
modern supercar.
I think people don't know.
But I could see how in a design room, you're like, look at this, we're blending these things.
Yeah.
There's so much DNA here.
Always. I'm in a lucky position that they present that to me privately, and then I see this. And when they music and this and that, and then the pictures and the designer we're drawing together and showing, you get that. But this is not when you sit in the garage and see the picture, you don't have all this show.
No, I know.
You just see the pure shit. And when that it has to work there, not with all the attention. It has to work in that moment.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Yeah, I always had mixed feelings on the Hoonitron, which was the vehicle that they built for Ken.
Mm-hmm. I have it right now in the museum.
I know you do, yeah. I don't dislike it. There's parts of it I like a lot. I like the concept of what it was. I think Ken and I were both extremely both excited and really honored that like Audi put.
I mean, they did it very fast.
They did so much work to create a single purpose vehicle, like a concept car that actually went and did a thing, which I thought was really impressive. But in our heads, we were thinking Sport Quattro. So like it was such a like we walked in the room thinking boxy and awkward in a sexy way, and then there was this thing that was slick and so different and whatever.
Yeah, and Mark is furious and.
But it was interesting because when I sat with Mark, he made me love the car. When he explained it all to me, I was like, okay.
He can.
When he walked me through that and he showed me,
I love him.
This is this. That was actually it made me change my mind about it. And I was like,
greatest.
okay, I now really enjoy it. And now when I look back at the car, I look at it in a very different lens than when I first saw it. Because again, I'm waiting for the curtain to open, and it's a Sport Quattro that looks like the Sport Quattro met the Hoonicorn.
Yeah,
and instead it was this spaceship.
I was able to drive it a whole day and really had good fun in it.
Yeah.
This also gives you a new feeling because the power is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when Mark goes through you with this, and I think really he's one of the greatest ever because Golf 7 and all these cars, really, he knows R6, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You fall in love.
Do you think that the automakers were in a better era when they had outside design companies building cars? You know, like the Pininfarinas.
100%. They still do. And very often say they don't.
Okay. Yeah, I know they're still involved, but like it seems like a lot of the design stuff has moved in-house. I think sometimes when it's external from the campus, it lives somewhere else, it's experienced. Like I know Audi has their big, they have a big design center up here in Malibu.
The new one, yeah, it's huge.
But I just look back at, Kagaro, right? Like the design era where they actually worked for a lot of different companies. So it gave them like this cross DNA of
the German.
of
The
that.
German. I think especially the German manufacturers, they always think DNA, and all this. This is wrong.
Yeah.
For example, and now I'm very open. They brought me the RS5, the new one, and I like the design. It looks cool.
Yeah.
And I was really mad after driving it because you see the competition. Yeah, the BMW switch 4-wheel, switch 2-wheel. But a real 2-wheel drive. And then they go with, but we got to hang on in a quattro and this. And I said, how much percentage of the power goes still to the front? No, we got to the, no. How much is still going to the front? Yeah, but we got the torque vectoring. No. And this is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
They love their shit so much. This is not the point. See, I'm the customer and I drive it and I don't like how it drives.
Yeah.
So when I don't like how it drives, I don't buy. I don't mind how much technology. I don't mind how much you put into it. I don't mind what it can do. And we don't drive up the hill every fucking day in the snow. No. And for some reason, the BMW all-wheel drive is even better.
You think so?
It is.
Yeah. The modern version of it, yeah.
Yeah, they're great. In the snow, everything. So you have to understand, it worked very well for me to have the hang-on all-wheel drive and all this, but time is over. Because only for the name, keeping up with the same Scotto technology, what is not in... You're doing things to have the Vorteil, to have the... to be better, I'm doing
Advantage.
Advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing it to have the advantage. This technology is not offering it anymore. But we have the logo and the name, so we're going there. What? No.
You know, you make a strong point because I wonder how much they limit themselves because everything has to be Quattro. I mean, just to go back, the reason that the D2 S8 was built as an all-aluminum car was because it was heavier than a 7 Series. It was heavier than an S-Class. So they had to throw all this technology to make it as good as what BMW and Mercedes was offering.
Because
Quattro. I like Quattro, but guess what? I live in Southern California. But I don't use Quattro that often.
At all, first of all. And the modern all-wheel drive systems that they are out there, they beat it.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting because I think it would change what they could make, what they can offer, and also the cost on it too. Because there's a whole additional system there that they're not thinking around. Because imagine what would a cool rear-wheel drive sports car look like from Audi. It would open up a completely different market for them. But I do think that again, this goes back to the DNA thing. I think so much of their brand is attached to that. Same thing with Subaru, right? Like you just assume a Subaru is all-wheel drive. Like if one wasn't, like it's always weird to me. You probably see them more, but when I see like an Audi that's front-wheel drive in the US, I'm like, why? Why would you buy that car? Because all-wheel drive is their thing. But I do think that there's a rear-wheel drive market that like they've been afraid to get into. But at the same time, they don't seem to be worried about making front-wheel drive cars.
You met Albert Biermann from Hyundai?
Yeah, briefly. But yeah.
Yeah, so he was at BMW.
Yeah.
He brought us all this super cool toys.
He's the new big designer for them. He's the one that brought the 8-speed to Hyundai, right? I think that
Yeah, and the N program and all these things. And we are very cool. He stopped working now. So he retired. But he's still there.
Yeah.
And he's very cool. And we were talking, sitting down, eating something. And I said, you know what? You should do a rear-wheel drive sports car like that and that and that. And then I said, but you can't do it because you don't have the past, right? And he said, I don't mind.
Yeah.
We're just building that what the people want.
Yeah.
And I was like.
So I think this is actually a really good point that the Korean brands seem to not be stuck in nostalgia. They are not actually excited about. Well, they also are not excited about their nostalgia because their nostalgia was a really cheap economy car. So they're trying to move away from that. And that's where you have things like the Magma and coming from Genesis. Kia, I think, has some of the better designs on the roads right now. Like some of their vehicles look, especially their like SUV class, looks really great.
They will switch the N energy.
Yeah, and I think, and I tell people this all the time. I would buy an Elantra N over a new GLI or whatever. It's just a better car. Yeah. Like from a performance standpoint. It is. From a performance standpoint, it's a better car.
One thing where you guys don't have access to it, but I would love to invite you, come over to Germany and drive all the Chinese cars.
Which one of those are really good?
Xiaomi.
Yeah. I was in Australia when we were filming with Travis Pastrana, and I was talking to a bunch of locals down there, and they've got all BYD. What was it?
This is BYD.
BYD. Sorry, they have BYD. They have a bunch of other brands, and they were all saying that like the Land Rover knockoff from BYD is almost as good as the Land Rover and 40 grand cheaper. Why would you not buy it? They're like and they're getting to the point where they're gonna be better. Like they're this close to being better than what the other offerings are. So I'm kind of.
I know many cars that are way better now.
Yeah.
Because I've been to China just a few weeks ago, been to the auto show and drove all this stuff what they have there. I mean, I'm talking now for Germany. We have nothing to put up that. I mean, it's crazy.
I was in Shanghai about 5 years ago and, was walking through one of the main strips where, you've got, Dolce & Gabbana, Coach, right? All these premium brands. And then all of the electric Chinese car companies are in the same place with like the Tesla model where they're in a regular store. Yeah. And I was just walking through and I was blown away by the design. Like sitting in cars and like this feels really nice.
I mean,
And it just looks really good, and it feels like a
it's
concept
5 years
car.
ago, and they're very fast.
Yeah, and it's like it feels like a concept car, but it's for sale.
Yeah. So when you come now,
Yep.
and you sit in a car from 2025 or 26, this kills you.
I think Canada has just allowed for the Chinese cars to come.
They do?
Yeah, which will be interesting because I think that's going to be the closest we get to starting to see them. They'll start to drop drop across the border. That'll start to shift things.
So Xiaomi, pretty good. Zeekr, very good. And the quality is, because first time I got into it, I wanted to be that it's bad. I felt it.
Yeah.
See, I'm an open guy. I wanted to find the mistake. Open the door. Inside. And really, two devil, angel.
Yeah.
We have a problem, right? Yeah, we do have a problem. You finding something?
No, that's the problem.
No, I'm not finding anything. Yeah, so maybe you can make something up. Do you have an idea what? It's so good.
Handling too?
Yes.
See, I don't think I'm even familiar with
Porsche is Nordschleife Porsche together.
Yep.
Xiaomi comes. They were building before that car vacuum cleaners. Okay? Right? And they just break the record. My love, it was like somebody cheated on you. It was like I was like this. But why? Why? They just come around and they just do that? How can they do that to me?
As a German file, when the Viper, which is an American company, I should have pride in that, went and set the ring at the Nürburgring. I was like, the Viper? Like, it's a tractor. What are you talking about? Like, I was so upset that it got taken away from the German brands. But, I can only imagine how it felt when the Chinese showed up to do the same.
Yeah.
Maybe car culture will be saved by the Chinese.
A Viper is out there.
Yeah.
For a long time. Xiaomi.
I don't even know the name. I can't picture what you're saying to me is words because I can't visualize the car. I'm not even aware of it. We were looking at a list. Nick and I were looking at a list the other day of the fastest current hypercars, and the number one is a Chinese car I had never heard of before.
I drove it,
and it does
the car
300
that jumps.
Whatever, it does 300 miles an hour or something like that. Like, never seen it.
Yeah. I drove it.
And then there was that Chinese company that did the Gymkhana homage, which was actually quite good. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes, a little bit.
I mean, there's moments like there is some stunts that I was like, that's not bad. Usually when people do Gymkhana videos, I have more critique, but I was like, yeah, this actually not bad. But like I had never seen the car before. There's so much coming out of China that I'm just absolutely unaware of. Completely lives in a blind spot. Oh yeah, damn, that looks good. That looks good. And if you told me that was the new Macan, I would believe it.
Oh, Ferrari. Oh, Aston Martin.
Yeah, whatever. Like it just looks. Yeah, any one of those. It fits in that.
This is 60,000 euros.
Okay.
And it has 700 horsepower. So I don't know. And in the interior, in the quality, in the leather, and everything's great, and the handling is great.
EV.
Yeah, EV.
Yeah.
Brembo brakes, everything.
Where's the EV?
And when you buy them in China, as I told you, my price is with tax, everything.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
Else, yeah.
So, but over there, they're 24,000.
Yeah.
New.
Where do you live on the EV thing? Like, are you enjoying EVs? I know you've built a couple things. Is it something that feels like a forced hand because of what you're dealing with in Germany?
I love technology.
Yeah.
So as long as I can choose, and I catch myself when I have to drive somewhere, or after work at a hard day, and I'm driving with my Taycan home, this is the best car for me to drive home.
By the way, I think the Taycan and the
ages very well,
and the e-tron GT or the RS e-tron GT are two of the best new sedan designs that have come out of Germany in the past 10 years. And it's a bummer to me that they're not also available with ICE, because I would have enjoyed that as like an actual engine driven car. I don't want to dump that kind of money into an EV here. I mean, RS e-tron GTs are like literally selling at half price right now because nobody wants them.
I'm saying something right now.
Yep.
You will be happy in the next few years.
Okay. So you know something.
Yeah. It will be a good time coming up. For example, the new Cayenne is the best EV car I drove so far.
Really?
Yeah. No question.
Interesting. I was an early adopter for EV. I bought an electric smart car mostly because it was just easy to get around.
Here?
Yeah, we had the Smart EV for like a year or two.
Okay, cool.
And mostly because it was just, I was commuting from Venice down to Long Beach to Hoonigan. I could get into the fast lanes, the HOV lanes here with it. But it was also just like a go-kart. And it was like super easy to drive. It was really convenient.
But it didn't have, this guy really had problems with distance.
Yeah, it only did 60 miles. So
crazy.
like it would, like up to LA and back, I could get myself in trouble. I then had an Ioniq from Hyundai.
Yeah.
The
5.
the Ioniq 5. Yeah. The 6 is really gross looking. But the 5 to me looks like if someone took a Mark II Golf and was like, what's the future look like?
The body is
it's cool. Or a Lancia Delta Integrale. Like it has that kind of feeling, right? And I like that. But it's fine for like city life, but like it just never. And the 5N was fun on track, but maybe I'm just old, but I sort of left the EV thing. Like I was there early, I was sort of enjoying it at first, but then I just found myself gravitating back to just regular cars. But just last night I was looking at an e-Golf because I couldn't believe how cheap they were, and I was looking at one literally just to do like I got to bring my kid to school, or I got to do this. Like, I realize I don't own any new cars. The newest thing I own is a D2 S8.
Okay.
So the newest thing I
That's
own
the newest.
is a 2002. My wife has a newer Land Rover, but I don't own new cars.
Wow.
And it's like, it's painful. I do it because, and not to get on too much of this, but I do it because there was this moment where I had newer cars and I was only driving the newer cars. So I had the Ioniq 5N, I had my Audi A8L, and I just wasn't enjoying the cars I owned. It's like I would only drive them one day a week or something like that. So I forced myself. So I actually daily my RS2 and the Rabbit. Those are my dailies. So I drive them every day.
I love
That's
the Rabbit.
it. So thanks. It's about to get painted, but it's like a street car right now. Like I can park it out in front of my house, which is nice to have.
No, this is very nice.
But there is a piece of me that's like, man, do I just want something that's really simple? And I will admit, for that, like an electric car plays like as a good appliance, but I struggle in the performance side of it. But like the Taycan, like especially the Gran Turismo, like that makes me kind of want one. I'll admit, it's a fucking great looking car.
It doesn't age.
Yeah,
it has now some years.
Do you have it on wheels? Do you have it like on wheels and stuff? Like, have you lowered it? Yeah, because it lowered on wheels. It's perfect.
Yeah, it looks.
Yeah,
really, really great. No, but the EV thing is really working on me because what it can do. Because sometimes when I want to drive home and then you start, stupid question, thing, 812 Superfast is the one that's not in front of the building. It's late. I got to drive home. I drove with it to work and I had a hard day. You know?
I know. I know. It's weird things to complain about. But
it is. And then
it's a high stress vehicle to drive.
Yeah. And then instead,
I know.
And then the car helps me when I come or I ride my bike.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm on my bicycle a lot. Really.
Are you big into cycling?
Yeah. But not BMX. Just
No. Mountain biking.
Yeah.
Road biking too, or just mountain biking?
Just normal, just playing around.
Nice. So I think what you said before is great though, is like you like electric as long as you still have the choice. Because I think that was the big fear for us in the US.
I don't want it
that we were going to lose
in mobility. I don't want that somebody else takes a smart choice. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. No.
I think the future will always going to be hybrid. I don't know. Are you familiar with the Scout? Do you know much about Scout? It was an American company back in like 50s, 60s, 70s, and the International Harvester. The Scout was one of the vehicles that they built, and it was a truck. Competed with the Bronco, stuff like that. When Volkswagen Audi Group bought Navistar, Navistar, which is a truck company, owned the International Group, including the Scout name. So they've relaunched it in the U.S. as
recently.
Yes, as it hasn't hit market yet, but they relaunched it as a Rivian competitor. Right,
Rivian is pretty cool.
Yeah, they have a really good design, I think, aesthetic. But so they launched it as a competitor for that. I think they look very good. But they launched an option for the car, which was called the Harvester, which was a 4-cylinder engine, which I think is like an don't quote me, but I think it's like an EA888 or something like that.
Range
Like it's
extender.
basically as a range extender. So the car is always electric, but it has an engine in it now, so that if you wanted to go off grid, you don't end up with your car dead in the middle of the desert, which is like a major limitation when you live on this side of the country.
Right. That showed me you don't have access to the Chinese cars, right?
So we're unfamiliar with it. So anyway, I went to the launch for the car, and I was really, the thing I was most excited about was the range extender. I was like, this is fantastic. This is great. And they're like, yeah, we're offering it as an option. I ended up talking to one of the guys at Scout recently, and they said like 90% of the pre-buys on the car are asking for the Harvester, and they had no idea. That
they should. Everybody should do it.
Which is hybrid the other direction, but like I'm there for it. Like it works.
So these Chinese cars, there's some of them. They all have a 4-cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just producing power, and they are electric for the movement. Some of them have a range of 1,800 kilometers. So you can charge the battery, what is also big, and you have the range extender, and the engine's not using a lot of petrol, and you have a big gasoline tank too. So you put it in, and you're driving for 1,800 kilometers without doing anything.
Yeah, that I think changes people's minds about accepting EV into your heart.
You just go.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. I think in the future, like as long as we still get to have fun, spicy sports cars, there's a place for the EV market. Like it definitely makes sense.
I don't think it has to be always sports cars. I think sometimes, look, back in the days, I know you were the same guy, because every Golf guy is like that. Let me see what VW gives me as a new base to build my car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, and it's not a sports car.
Yep.
So you just 6, 7, 8. I don't know.
Yep.
So you're
like, car sucks, but I'll put the engine in something older.
right. So you just use it as a starting point. With these cars, not many people think like that.
Yeah.
So for me, I love all kind of cars. They don't have to be sporty or I don't know what.
Yep.
Just love the fact of what it gives me.
Do you prefer taking a more base model car and making it fun versus because you have both. You have really, really high end cars, but you also have built some incredible base cars. Like which one is your favorite to do?
For me, inside of me, the base car.
Yeah. Yeah, that old school tuner kid thing just doesn't escape.
Oh, no way.
I'm building right now, Whipple just built an 8-valve for my Rabbit, and it's like I'm more excited about that than a bunch of other quote unquote cooler cars I have. Like there's just something simple about that I kind of love. So I also, and I think you and I are very similar. The difference is that you got all your projects done. Is like you got a lot more of your projects done than I did, but
you have none done.
hey. But remember, there's a couple outside, but there's a lot of the Hoonigan projects were technically mine in that they were my vision of what we wanted to do, right? I mean, and I'm not going to own all of it, but including projects like the Hoonicorn, right? Like I was very involved in like, let's go build this crazy machine.
It was your idea?
No. I said I wasn't going to take the full credit, but it was partially my idea. Originally, Ken wanted to go. I saw a window in the U.S. market to do something more muscle car because at that point, muscle car stuff was just really big, and we were seeing this issue where like our content just was like hitting a wall. Like we weren't getting passed through to a certain person with a Fiesta, right? Like a Ford Fiesta in America just didn't translate.
No.
And we were like, well, what cars do?
Not even Europe.
Yeah, what cars do? And actually, originally, Ken wanted to do it kind of as a joke and build an old Maverick, which is not a sexy car. But we ended up going back to the original Mustang, and and I helped design a lot of how that car looked, and like all the way down to like what the hood scoop was going to look like cool. How the blisters were going to go on the car, how we were going to take WRC elements, right? And obviously Ken was like, it has to be all-wheel drive, and I was like, it has to be a V8, because there was conversations about using an existing thing we knew, right? Using a Pipo engine or something that was familiar in WRC. But I was like, I was really into American cars at that point, so it was like, I don't know if you remember my Nova. I was like, it needs like, it needs to be like, right? And like, so it was like, that car. But anyway, a lot of the projects that we worked on Hoonigan were sort of things that came out of my brain. And the things that excited me most was building things that weren't fast and making them fast or cool. Like we built a P10 like bread van with like a LS in it, like on air. Like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
and like I really enjoy the ridiculous thing where Vinny would be happy to just drive GT3 RSs for the rest of his life. And I respect that, but I would rather build a cool 944.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just a difference between the two of us.
When you think about the Volto project,
that's a great example.
Yeah, the base car was 500 euros.
Yeah, as it should be. And then
500. And at the end of the day, we talking crazy.
Yeah.
And in any case, I mean, front frame, wheels, size, power, body,
yeah,
inside, outside, everything. And that was actually the cheapest part was the car.
I know, and I love that. And a lot of great projects at Hoonigan were the same way. It was like started with a random shell and then build it into something really cool.
Yeah.
You know,
What's your favorite car?
of mine
Yeah.
or
No.
in general?
In general. It's a question difficult and not really today.
Yeah,
Today.
Yeah, I would go between. It's between an air-cooled 911 and the
Which one?
Probably. I mean, mine. I actually would say like I think I own my favorite 911, which is the 964 turbo. Right. So like, I mean, I pulled the car out this morning and just pulling it out, like the smell of the car, like
And it stays.
there's just something about like the smell brings back the nostalgia of the first time I got in the car after buying it. Because I bought the car and it got delivered. And when I get in it, I still have that moment every once in a while. And it's like, that's just something that's really special. I can't explain it. And then I just really, really love Mark I Rabbits. And that for me is a childhood nostalgia. Like I know that they're not great performance cars. I enjoy how they drive.
You can make them very good.
I enjoy how they drive. And as I get older, I take way less risks behind the wheel. I have a child to come home to. When I was younger, I wasn't like that at all. Like when I was at the magazine, I took all the risks, right? I'm not that person anymore. A Mark I and a well-sorted Mark I can drive at a limit that I feel comfortable being at, where like in a new 911 GT3 RS, that limit, when I pass it, I die. Like there's no coming back from that, you know? Like, so I think that there's something I really enjoy about the limitations of that, but I also enjoy the nostalgia. Like there's that, that element. Those are like, I actually own a lot of my favorite cars.
I know
I bought this car, by the way, my Ferrari that's behind us. I bought this because I sold my company and had a huge hole in my heart and was like, well, I might as well buy myself something nice. And I bought this, and
I wouldn't expect that.
I know, and this I think is like, and I still haven't sold it, but I probably will. Like, it doesn't mean that much to me. Like, if you offered me a good number, you could leave with it today. We'll talk about it.
Is it manual?
No.
And how much do you want for it?
We'll get to it. We'll talk. I can't talk on here because if you don't buy it, you've already messed up my negotiating with someone else. You know. So, but and it's not that I don't enjoy it. I love it. It sounds amazing. It's great. It's just not me. Like when I'm in it and I'm driving past a reflective window and I see myself, it doesn't look like I belong in it.
Have you ever seen a truck in a car?
You motherfucker.
I mean, you look ridiculous in any car.
Do you have any idea how ridiculous I look in a Mark I Rabbit?
I did. I saw it.
Yeah, I look so ridiculous that the lean company made a pin of me hanging out of the window of my car.
Even the pin is wrong. And they tried hard to make you. I mean, you're so big. And I don't know if you haven't seen him in real life. He's a big guy, and a Golf 1 is not a big car.
Yeah, I don't know.
And to put this together in green, it looks special.
Yeah, I don't know. What's your favorite car?
993 Turbo. Mine also.
Yeah.
And when you said the smell, 100%.
I bet it smells just like mine. You can sit in mine when we're done and tell me if it smells the same.
It's
the seating position.
I'm afraid
when you before were talking about the windshield's here, the steering wheel's here, the pedals, the feeling, this like, it actually moved me a little bit because I had that same feeling when I got in my car this morning just to pull it out of here so we could do this podcast. And it's like just sitting in that car makes me happy. That's something special. Like there's a lot of cars I've sat in my life. I've driven, especially as a journalist, a lot of really cool stuff I've driven. There's something about that cockpit that just works for me more so than a modern one.
I have a very good explanation for it. I have 120 cars but I have one car, and that's a 993.
Hmm.
So
if you had to sell everything,
no. I mean,
don't talk.
I
about
have
selling.
the connection
That connects. Yeah.
So this is my door. This is my steering wheel.
Yeah.
This is my shift knob. And because of YouTube and owning this, and I love them all, but this is from the company, and we build it, and this is cool, and this is also a day that I use. But the 993 is my car.
Yeah.
This is my car.
See, I wouldn't have guessed that because it's not a car I actually associate with you. Like my two favorite cars, I think are rather well associated with me. I think for you, I associate these really crazy projects.
No, because we can't drive them.
Yeah.
I can't drive them.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
So when are you moving to California so you can drive all your cars? Or America? Where else would you go?
In the last few years, I had a chance to film a lot of videos in the middle of America, right?
Yeah.
And I never thought about it. I had connections to Florida, Miami, and LA, and always going back and forth, and always flying over this.
Yeah, that's why they call it the flyover states. Yeah.
Yeah, they do?
Yeah, that's like, I wouldn't say it's a nice thing to call them, but that's what people call the middle of the country is flyover states. Yeah. Because like they're just not often visited.
So I had a chance to really see some of these towns with 500 people and very, very small. And I said, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
By the way, I don't want to interrupt you here, but I now so badly want to take a cross-country road trip with you. I think that would be super fun. I love...
How long does it take?
I mean, it depends. I've done it. The fastest I've done it is in 52 hours, which is like... I mean, it's quick because I was driving a moving truck, but I mean, people do it in 20
In a
hours.
moving truck?
Yeah. I used to work for a moving company and
52 hours from where?
New York City to Santa Monica. Yeah, we just drove straight. We didn't sleep. So it's possible. I mean, and like obviously the Cannonball record, is in 20 some odd hours. But
Yes,
that's
Audi
like
A5, right? With this big gas tank.
There was for a while. I don't know who has it now. I don't keep up on it. But yeah, they made it look like a Ford, which I thought was kind of funny. They put the Ford logo, and they basically made it look like a cop car, but it was an Audi. Yeah. So I remember it was an A5 or what it was. Yeah, I thought it was an A6 or whatever. But anyway, yeah, and I know there was an A8 that held it for a while too. That would be my choice for that. I would do an A8L if I was going to do the Cannonball, or like an S8.
And a Beetle would be cool.
Well, you definitely probably no one notices you here in a Beetle. Like a Beetle just kind of disappears in traffic. But no, I think I say that because I grew up in New York City. I live in Los Angeles now, but at a certain period in my life, because of the magazines, I got to travel all these really small towns, especially when I was doing Donk magazine, and going to just these really small towns in the South and the Midwest. And
You did the magazine? You did that magazine?
Yeah, I launched Donk magazine. Yeah, I used to work for a magazine called Rides. Are you familiar with Rides? So Rides was like a competitor to Dub in the US and actually had a bigger newsstand. One of our photographers sent us photos from Miami and said, hey, there's a bunch of guys here who have these like old, they have these, old like Chevys, and they're all on these big wheels. I think you guys might be interested. So this was 2004, 2005, and it was like, hey, there's this culture blowing up here in Miami. Do you guys want to do a story on it? And we said, yeah, sure. Send us some photos, right? And this is like when I say send us some photos, like. This was like he literally physically sent us the photos, right? Because it was still an era where we were shooting in film and we were drum scanning things. So he sent us some slides and we're like, holy shit, this looks incredible. So we ran
on a photo.
Yeah. So we ran a story on it, and there was like 8 or 9 cars from Miami area. We ran the story, and just for fun, I mocked up a cover. And at this point, only rappers were on the cover of Rides magazines, or celebrities, right? So it was a celebrity-driven car magazine. And I mocked up a cover just for fun. And my publisher came down and he was like, what are you doing here? I was like, they're just playing with it. It's just a joke. And he's like, because I knew he was like, what are you doing? He's like, are we going to make that? I was like, I don't know. He's like, do you think we should? I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe we do it as like just in a region. Like, what if we do it just in Florida, or just as, just for the cover in that possible? Area? Yeah. So we could do like split covers. When in the US you make so many of them that you can kind of, separate those things. So we did a 2 cover, and we basically delivered the entire South, no rapper on the cover, just the car. And it crushed. And we got the report back from the newsstand on how well it was doing. And within a week, the publisher was like, you guys need to make more of these. And I was like, okay, we're going to do it. We called the magazine Donk Box.
You have a picture of it somewhere?
I mean, I
Maybe
can
later.
find, yeah, I'll show it to you later. I was like, we can do this. And we're going to call it Donk Box and Bubble. They were like, okay, go on the road and figure it out. And like, at this point, like, it's pre-internet. Like, the internet exists, but it's pre-social media. Tracking these guys down were not easy. So we were calling guys who were filming in the local areas. We were like on forums. Like, we're trying to find these guys. And we would and the best way to find them was the shops that were building the cars. So we flew to South Carolina and then North Carolina, and we drove down through Georgia and into Florida.
And then you know what I mean.
And we just spent
towns
like Sumter, North Carolina, or Sumter, South Carolina, like all these areas. There's this guy like DreamWorks. The dude is one of the best guys. And like, we just met such awesome people during this period. And I look back at it now, at myself. Do you know Tony Harmer, photographer? I think I'm not sure if you ever met him, but he was our photographer at the time, and he did most of the like the premium Chem Block stuff. Like, if there was a new livery launch, Tony Harmer most likely shot it. Like the classic like Chem Block with the lights in the background shot, like that was Tony's signature kind of look. And he worked at Rides and 0 to 60 with me. But anyway, we went and we did this, and my biggest regret was that we didn't turn the camera on the people more than the cars, because it was such this cool experience for me to like go in here. It's like, I'm like a German car guy. Right? I like making like small cars slammed on small wheels with stretch tires. These guys are doing the exact opposite of what I do, but we connected. Like, I'm still friends with some of the guys I met in that era. But it also, like, as a New Yorker, like, you grew up in New York, you were told that you live in the greatest city in the world and fuck everywhere else. I mean, the current New York line is New York or nowhere, right?
We never did a series in New York.
And I understand that as a New Yorker, but man, there's so much cool stuff to learn elsewhere. And like, that was the first time for me that I got to like meet people and then be like, let me take you to the best restaurant in town. And sometimes it was really good. Sometimes it was an Applebee's, but that was it was really rad. And that gave me this, appetite for road trips. So like, I have driven cross country, like full cross country, probably like 12 times now, and all of them have been like trips. Like I used to
The longest?
I had the new Audi RS4 came out in 2007, and I drove 8,000 miles zigzagging America to get to New York. So we went all over. We went like to Atlanta, and then we got to Atlanta, and a friend called us and said something was happening in Chicago, and we drove back to Chicago, and just like on the road, and that was like 2 full weeks. I loved that. And then I was going through this phase 2 where I would purposely buy cars from far away to drive them home. So like I bought.
So like Jamie.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, like years ago, when I first moved here, I bought an A8 in New Jersey, flew back home with my buddy Tony, and drove cross country, just taking photos and eating in random restaurants and starting conversations with random people. But I think you would be a fun person to do that with, because
I would love to have that life.
Not that America's still not new to me, because there is still moments where I find parts of America that feel very different. But I think for you, it would feel very different, because I've also road tripped Germany and France and,
What's small?
and Scotland. It's still fun, but like
No, absolutely.
I've done all of that.
See, so the JP that you see and that sits here is very happy and very free, and because I can, after 24 hours in America, I stand straighter. I look forward. I keep my head up because I don't have this life on the other side. And when I'm here, I always try to have a good time and to enjoy people, because this is absolutely not what I can do when I'm home. So when you talk about this, my mind says, boy, that would be nice. But 16 companies, all this going on, my life is not like that.
Yeah.
And so some people say, well, I'm a very busy guy. And nobody, no matter who says that to me, I can say, can't compare the shit. So, but people in America who know me here, they see me always very relaxed.
Yeah.
And give me these kind of offers. But when I come back,
you don't have that time. I mean, I'm surprised you've stayed on the podcast this long.
I mean, I got to put the suspension into the Z06 that I just picked up.
Are you going to do that with Vinny?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but the thing is that I told you when I came into the room that I had a very nice experience.
Yeah, you said you had a very good morning. You didn't tell me what it was. You can tell us now.
So I over KW. I said, Tim, I need the suspension for the car. Can you arrange it to me? And we were looking. It's not in stock, but there's a customer who has the suspension. Mm-hmm. Let me contact him if he put it in the car already or not. He did not. So luckily, he was 20 minutes away where I stay. I just drove up to him. I'm pretty sure you know him. His name is Andrew.
Okay.
So I pulled up. In my mind, I was planning to stay there for a minute, pick it up, and go. I was staying there for 1.5 hours. We knew 30 people. We were laughing, this and that. Benny bought the car yesterday, right? He and his friend were about to buy the car. We were talking. That
happens a lot here.
It does?
Oh, yeah. I'll like send cars to Vinny, and Vinny's like, I'm going to buy it right now. And I'm like, oh, all right.
How can this happen? It's such a big town. And my
Facebook
Z06
Marketplace algorithm.
Okay, my Z06 that I bought, he had the same picture on his phone of my car that I just bought. So it happened all the time. And you were racing with this guy. I was also racing with him. And he's racing in a Nordschleife and all this. And we were talking and talking. And the feeling that I had this morning, meeting somebody, he had no clue who I am.
Right.
But we had the same hobby. This is something it's not happening.
Yeah.
Because when I talk to people, they want to impress me. They are nervous. They talk not how they normally talk because it's this guy. So I had an experience that was for me, I'm 45, new. Because I'm now in this position for around 20 years. So I had 25 years without that. And now 20 years with that. And that's sad.
Is there ever a world where you move to the US, but still make German language content and sort of just live?
I thought about it.
And just live on. You and I have talked about it in the past. Because you asked me if I thought it would work. I think you actually said, do you think I can make American content?
Right.
And I said, look, I think you've done an amazing job. I'm sure you could translate it, but it's very saturated here and you're going to be up against a lot of other people and you're going to have to catch up to them. But I think there's actually something interesting, which is sort of like the footballer model, which is like live in LA, no one recognizes you. And that used to also be the F1 model. Not anymore. Not anymore. But they would all come and live here. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, before F1 became what Netflix has sort of turned F1 into, he would hang out here in California because people really didn't recognize him. Not sure anymore. But I could see a value of that, of you saying, I'm going to come here, I'm going to still make my German language content to the audience I already have, but expose them to something new, which is California. But it's California through your POV, which is so different. Like when we go to Germany.
Oh, you mean making content here for there?
For there, right?
What I'm doing right now.
Is there a world where you do that? Because one, it gives you a unique story. But it also keeps you out of this like limelight that like you do live in Germany. And I want to say this for the audience. I said it before, I'm going to repeat it again. Having seen the fan base around you, it is more similar to the Top Gear fan base, which like I've seen of celebrity than the YouTuber side. Like, because Chris Harris, good buddy of mine, he talks quite often about how it's really intrusive. Like it is, you just can't do any normal things anymore.
Yeah,
you can't go to the movie with your kids. You can't do these certain things.
And I tell you what, we were filming together, Chris and me.
Yeah, you guys just did that.
Yeah,
the
Porsche thing.
The Porsche convertible, the GT3 convert.
Yeah. And between him and me is still a difference of, I don't know, I mean, very, very, very big.
Yeah.
So back to your question. Yes, there is a world, a dream where I can see that. It is a long flight.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying live here.
Oh, live 100%.
Yeah.
No, impossible.
Yeah, just because you got 16 businesses.
Yeah, the company's too big and too strong. And also to look in their faces, I think what JP Performance gave to the German people is way more than a YouTube channel, because I'm wondering that nobody in America does copy that.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody, it's not maybe rude what I say, they show what they do and then they enjoy their money.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, they don't give anything back. Maybe they do an event or this, but building a town or building a city or building something for them, nobody does that.
Mm.
And I think the money is there. But nah. And for me, it's more like I want to try to stop this process, what we were talking about, that is going down as strong as I can.
Yeah. I do think that there's elements of the U.S. group of sort of creators that are starting to do
Who are
that.
the creators?
So like take like a Cletus, for example. Are you familiar with Cletus? He's a good example because he bought a racetrack that was
Vin
going
explains me in a moment, really, because I have no time to watch you.
Yeah, most YouTubers don't watch other YouTubers. I'm aware of it more now just because I'm bringing people on. And Hoonigan was always somewhat paying attention to it because the Hoonigan model was different. Like we wanted to create a stage for other YouTubers to come and do stuff with us.
You are the show.
Right. We wanted to create that space, right? And so that meant that we were paying attention to who else was out there so we could invite them to come do the thing with us. But Cletus, I think, is a really good example. You know, he's way more in the American car market stuff. That's his space. Big V8s, Screaming Eagles. That's his model. Very much more in drag racing and now NASCAR. He's actually now starting to compete in lower NASCAR circuits and kind of like moving up ARCA as well as like truck series and stuff. And but like he went and bought a derelict racetrack and like fixed it and now holds constant events there and has brought a piece of culture back to it. And then
I didn't know.
As condos and all these things have started to move in, he has been vehemently fighting those organizations to prevent racetracks from being closed in his area, but also sort of giving other people the strength and power to go do that.
That's great.
So there are, I think, we're starting to see some of that stuff start to develop, right? I think
But you don't have the same urgent than we do.
Right, and that's because I don't think it feels as important, I'm not trying to like toot the old Hoonigan horn, but it's like we did the Irwindale stuff at Burnyard because we were talking to the sheriff's department and they were like, these kids need a place to go or the crackdowns are going to get a lot worse. Like, can you help just create something that's like, that's cool, and it's one of those things where it's like, not that we really wanted to go work with the the cops on it, but it's like they were being really cool with us to say, you guys go do this, and like that would be really helpful for us to like be able to, because I will say this, like people have different feelings about police in America for all different reasons, but a lot of cops are car guys. Like a lot of cops really
not in Germany though.
Yeah. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. So like I have sheriff friends who run full-blown race cars and are super into it and like will say things to me the effect of like, oh yeah, this thing definitely won't pass smog. Like, of course you shithead. And they have a racetrack that's up in Santa Clarita that they used to let Hoonigan go drive our cars at, which was super cool. So
I need
there
a
was
racetrack.
that cool element, right?
I need a racetrack in the next few days. So I booked tomorrow because we wanted to go drifting and drag racing and on a track with the Corvette.
Yeah.
So I'm at Apple Valley.
Okay.
What is not so
pretty small for the vet, but I mean, if you want to drift it, it's
just play
track.
around.
Yeah.
But is there a racetrack I can go tomorrow or on Friday?
Potentially Willow Springs. I can call a friend over there. You don't want to go there?
No, I want.
Yeah.
But everybody says to me,
we'll try to work something out for you. Yeah, I think that unfortunately, but this is actually where the current American problem is. We're losing all our racetracks. So Irwindale, which I mentioned before, is no more. They've knocked it down. California Speedway, gone. They've knocked it down. Willow, because of new ownership, and I think they're gonna be able to stay, which is great. Thermal is a private track, can't go to. But all of these tracks, like my home drag strip, Englishtown Raceway, or Raceway Park is officially known, got shut down because people bought houses across the street from it and then complained that it was too loud.
The same.
That is
they're
happening.
Germans. They gotta be Germans.
Yeah, so this is where, and this goes back to the story though, where I feel like you are like the ghost of Christmas future. Like I feel sometimes when I listen to what you're talking about and what's happening in Germany, feels like the ghost of car culture future. And like, how do we stop that?
You're not. Americans have more connection to their right. Germans love that.
Mm.
A big amount of Germans love to get controls.
Yeah. Well, you guys kind of just like order and control.
And Americans not.
We like celebrate rebellion. It's like
So
part of our culture.
It will never be like that.
I sure hope not.
No, it will never be.
It's as a kid who grew up on German car culture, it is depressing for me to go see that. I think the thing that brought the biggest spotlight was going to Ultrace in Poland and having conversations with people there, and they're like, this is what Germany used to be like. Like this was what Wörthersee was like. This was it. And it literally had to leave the country because the culture just is not acceptable anymore. Like it just is, it's like everyone looks at it that way.
I mean, I'm working on it.
We feel like, I feel like there's this moment right now where car culture feels criminalized. Right?
100%.
Which like car culture, there was always a bad guy element to it. There's always like street racing,
Yeah.
James Dean. There was always that. But now it feels like even more so.
Where do you have when you use it, you have the potential to do it 6 times as strong by only pushing a pedal. So it for even people looking at you, the potential, you drive by, it's loud, you're allowed to drive 60 kilometers per hour. The car sounds crazy and you're driving 55 and the people go like this. So the element is always a little there. Like skateboarding downtown or something like this.
Yeah.
So it is not meant to be okay. So I'm driving home and I got in arguments with people in Germany, and I shouldn't do that because this is for the newspaper always very interesting. I'm driving under the limit, but the car's loud and they're screaming at me.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to scream at me.
That's starting to happen here. Like you're starting to see a lot more of that now. Yeah, there's a video that just went famous of I think the guy was in a C8 and a Karen started kicking the side of his car because it was too loud. And like that is become sort of a culture. It is part of a culture that seems like that's now like okay.
Because driving the Z06, you heard me coming.
I heard, it's loud.
You heard me coming. So far, every day. Sounds amazing, man. Women, man, everybody stops me and says, the car sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you also...
Never in Germany it will happen.
Southern California still has a bit of a love for cars. Like, there's something special here. Despite what everyone says, there's still something special here. Like, I've been pulled over in really loud cars, and usually the cops like, so what's under the hood? And not in a, I want to state ref you, but in like a, I want you to get out because I want to see it way, you know? So you get that too.
But maybe they were afraid if you can get out of the car because you're so big.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to stop you there. I mean,
maybe
they were afraid.
I'll be honest,
they want to help you.
Other than the first time I ever got pulled over, I really have only had good interactions with police. I don't know. The first time I got pulled over was a nightmare, and they like pulled me out of the car.
In America?
Yeah.
You got pulled over in Germany before?
Yeah. I lost my license in Germany.
See?
Yeah. I lost my license twice in Germany. So I got pulled over in Germany a couple times actually. Yeah.
I remember when Brian.
Yeah. I lost my license in Germany for Autobahn. Like there was like a literally like 300-meter section where the speed limit went down and then it went back up again, and I just wasn't paying attention. And we were moving, and yeah, they caught me at like, you know.
What was the highest speed you ever drove?
In Germany or here? Here I did on the highway.
What? You allowed to say that?
Well, it's past point. Yeah, it's whatever. It's fine. I don't care. No one's coming after me. Okay. Flock cameras couldn't catch me back then. I did 186 miles an hour in a C6 Z06 doing bull run in 2005 in Utah. And I hit 186, but I cruised at 180 for 25 minutes, which is exhausting. Like to drive that fast for that long is tiring.
Yeah, I mean, the engine doesn't like
180 miles an hour, right? Not kilometers. In Germany, I think about like 175, 180 in the probably the C7 RS6 or the twin turbo, the V10, that one, yeah. Did like 180 in that, yeah. I mean, whenever we're in Germany, the minute we get on the Autobahn, doesn't matter what we're driving. If it's a rental, all the way out, yeah. I mean, I lost my license in a Hyundai, so like it doesn't matter what you're driving. It's like it's just fun. How has Germany become such an anti-car culture community and still have the Autobahn?
I'm waiting for it that it ends.
Yeah.
Many people ask that, and the question is so big, nobody talks about it. To not get attention on it.
Do you think that in some way the Autobahn is like part of German culture externally? That it's almost 100%. Like you can't get rid of it.
Look,
like if as a kid,
I'm asking 100 Americans a question. What do you think about Germany? Even if one person says the Autobahn, it is culture of it, because there's so many options what you could say. And I'm pretty sure when you ask 100 people in America, it will be more than one.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you were to ask me when I was younger about Germany, it's like there's World War II and all the bad stuff that goes along with that. And then there's the Autobahn, and then there's German cars, and there's Schnitzel.
Schnitzel is, I think Schnitzel is dying, the word also, because you don't get a real Schnitzel anymore in Germany, to be honest.
There's a decent Schnitzel spot here if you want to try. If you want to try American Schnitzel, we can go to Rasselbach.
I'm pretty sure. I'm very, very sure that these kind of things will become better externally than internally.
Yeah. When you think of America as a German, what do you think of? Like, what are the things that really stand out for America?
Freedom.
Yeah. What is that like? Yeah, it's interesting to hear, because I think in America we feel like we have less freedom now than we used to.
Maybe you have, but still. And I just talked with a friend about it, and I think, because he asked me about that, and I said, because of China and all this, I think at the end of the day, China will be the best in many, many, many things, because they have a lot of money and they have a lot of energy, and their mentality is like that. But one thing is there that they can never take away is when you turn on a camera in America, or when you have your flag or something's going on, what build up in every human being in Italy, in London, and in England, everywhere in the world, is that America has so much feeling and written so many stories past the last 100 years that you will never, ever be able to beat that. And this is something what you can't copy. This is something what you can't buy. It is your house. It is the street. It is the tree. It is the forest, the water, skiing, surfing. It is it. Well, so you can't copy it.
That's because our number one export is Hollywood.
Right.
Our number one export is telling you how good our culture is.
What's very connected.
Which is arguably propaganda, but it's the reason why Levi's are as cool as they are or were. It's the reason why Levi's sold for so much money in Soviet Russia back in the day, because we have the ability to make things cool through culture. I think that is like the greatest American commodity is culture.
You explain it better than me. Because I'm struggling. Sometimes when we talk, I would love to explain it in my language.
Yeah, I get that. I can't even say 2 lines in German. So I'm impressed that you've gone for 2.5+ hours speaking not in your native language, and thank you for that. But
you're talking for 2 hours and 42 minutes?
If you want to, the record is 3 hours and 1 minute if you want to go for the record. Yeah, otherwise, you can leave now. You want to break the record already?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know TJ Hunt?
Yeah.
He owns the record. He said it like 2 weeks ago, so we can go for it.
No, I don't know him. So I'm talking with Vin about it. I know the name TJ Hunt.
Yep.
I know Cletus. I know
Adam LZ.
Adam LZ.
Yep. Whistle and Diesel.
See, that name?
Whistle and Diesel, in my opinion, lives a little outside of the traditional car culture world, because he sort of makes...
Which one is it? Whistle and Diesel is the
Whistle
guy...
and Diesel, he makes like mini films, and he usually breaks shit. So he's like the guy who will like buy a brand new Ferrari. He lives in like a shock culture kind of space.
I'm a little
afraid.
He
has massive viewership.
I guess, because people love to see that.
People love it,
And this is not for me. This is not car culture.
It's not my cup of tea either, but I respect that he's found something that works and he makes it work. And I actually think he does good storytelling. Okay. So like as a storyteller, it's there. It's just like I wouldn't watch it. But there are some things that he does that feel close to things that Top Gear used to do that I like. Like he did this whole thing on the on the Hilux, which reminded me sort of like how bad can you destroy a Hilux?
I see nearly nothing. Yeah. I watch Vin's videos.
Yeah.
I watch Haggerty.
Yeah. What do you watch on Haggerty? Like Jason
Camisa?
Yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
only.
Do you know Camisa?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
I've known him forever because we were both journalists back in the early aughts.
No, I think he does it. He has a very special way of being directly in between of TV style and YouTube style. And he does it. I enjoy watching him. If somebody would talk like that or tell me a joke like that, I wouldn't laugh. It has to be him in combination. He does it very well. Then James Pumphrey, because I think his way of talking is also extremely entertaining.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a actor, comedian by trade, so I think he delivers in a way that a lot of other
dream of.
Yeah, a lot of other people it's just not their nature to, you know.
And that's it.
Yeah. Do you know James? Have you worked with him before?
I met him once.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've obviously had him on the pod. Me and him are both Volkswagen kids, so we chat on Volkswagen and stuff, and I got to work with him on this Sung Kang feature film that I worked on, and it was kind of cool because I got to see him as an actor, which was like different than seeing him the way I always saw him on Donut. So yeah, that's a good combination of people. You do realize that there are so many million plus subscriber YouTube guys in the car space that I don't even know them anymore. Like it used to be, I knew all of them. Right, the Adams, the TJs, these were all sort of the original group. Mighty Car Mods in Australia, you guys, Yuka down in Mexico. Like there was this.
Who?
Do you know Yuka? Juca. I refer to him as like Mexican you, in that he is like by far the largest person in Mexico. Just like you are, you eat up. In my opinion, I may be wrong, but you eat up so much of the space in German YouTube. Like it's you and then some other people. He sort of appears like that. He's also a really cool dude, builds a lot of really cool projects. I met him like similar how I met to you in Mexico, which is I didn't know who he was. And he showed up on set while we were filming with Ken. He came over, he started talking. He was nice, but he had a camera and he's kind of vlogging. And I was like, hey, yeah, or whatever, man, you can talk later. So just had like a regular conversation with him, right? And then I got tagged in a photo later on, and like my Instagram exploded. And I was like, oh, I guess this dude. So I hit him up and I was like, hey man, like, sorry, I didn't realize like what you were doing. I was like, if you want to, stop by. And we ended up putting him, he showed back up with his Beetle, and we put him in the film, like a little cameo moment, because he was just there. And I was like, oh, let's just throw him in for this one shot. And I say that not because you guys do the same thing, but because from my understanding, he owns like a 70% market share of the Mexican YouTube space, where I don't know what your market share is, but it feels like it's like 70 to 80% of the market share. Yeah. No one in America has more than a single digit market share. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's just so much out there. As big as you think Cletus and Whistle and Diesel are, there's just so much out there, and a lot of creators are in this like 100 to 300,000 view, and there's just countless. Like every time you look, you find another one. You're like, I never even knew this guy existed. He's got 1 million subscribers and he's doing 500,000 views on average. I had no idea he was in this world.
So the thing is, I was talking with a few guys also in America about how much money they get from YouTube, and I was shocked.
You guys get a lot more? Yeah. We don't do well at all. I mean, to give you an idea, not that this episode does YouTube views, podcasts really aren't like the YouTube model.
It's also on YouTube?
Yeah, this will be on YouTube as well.
Cool.
So it's like Spotify, YouTube, Apple, whatever. But on YouTube, like even if this did, 50,000 views, right? Like, and it's long, it's maybe like $200. And that's for something that's going to be 3 hours long. Like, if we would have done that back in the day on Hoonigan, it would have done very well. But the money that you make off of YouTube has been steadily declining in the US. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, our CPMs are not strong. That's why everyone here has a separate business. Like everybody here either is selling merch, they have other product integration, so everyone has supported this, right? I mean, KW sponsors this show, right? Like Heatwave Visual, right? Wera Tools, which is a German brand. How do you say Wera? by the way. Wera.
The green one?
Yeah.
They do? They
sponsor the show. Yeah.
Wera.
Yeah.
I would. They're different. You can say it different ways, but
so
I think
I only say
Wera.
it because people call me out for how I say it because I say Wera. Now I know that W's are V's in German, but I think it's weird for me as an American to be like, yeah,
Wera.
I like using Wera tools. Like it's weird. Although I will say Porsche, I'll say things the other way, but. I asked the folks here, and they're like, "We don't care. You can say it however you want." They're like, "Our receptionist says we are." I was like, "Okay." They're like, she answered the phone. We are tools. I was like, that actually kind of works.
I mean, this whole marketing thing is so different here.
Yeah,
so different. If I would say in a video, this is sponsored or this is, see, I have a deal with Liqui Moly.
Yeah.
But my deals are always like that. If I do nothing, I do nothing. If I do something, I do something. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I need freedom maximum.
And that I think that's sort of like how I try to create my relationships as well. I think that works the best. That isn't how it always was. But
see, and if they don't accept that, I'm absolutely happy with it.
Yeah.
But if I would
when
tell
you
my audience,
when you control 75% of the market space, you get to do that. That's special.
100%. I'm aware of that. But and I want to stay that way, that I don't have to do deals because I don't want to do deals.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I just want to do my cars, my videos. And I would never say subscribe, watch this, like this. You decide if you want to do that. If you don't like it, if you don't subscribe, this is all your decision. I don't say buy this. I don't say nothing. You decide. You're smart enough to understand that.
Yeah.
You're smart enough.
Yeah, I think for like that kind of stuff, like first, I think.
But America's very different.
I think America's very different. We're very used to being.
Some of you guys start the video like that.
Too. Yeah. Look, for me, when we were at Hoonigan, we took a lot of money we shouldn't have taken because you got employees to pay, and we're trying to figure it out, and YouTube wasn't paying it, and whatever isn't paying it. I'm now at a point in my life where it's like I only want to work with brands I like. So, like for example, Wera is a great example. Like I really like their tools. The reason they reached out to me is because they saw me using their tools. Like
KW is the best.
Yeah, I like those guys.
No, America does not know how good KW is.
Yeah, see, as an American, like I've had KWs on my cars since 2003, 2002, like because they were so cool. Like Europe made us aware of that.
When I talk with Americans, I'm thinking about getting brand or KWs in it, and it's like. Yeah, I'm competing in a basketball game. I'm thinking about my neighbor, Michael Jordan. I think I take my neighbor. He's playing with me. So KW is really putting everything that they learn, including with the factories, into the product that you buy. And I can promise you, they're not doing that. The other brands, they have the picture of the car, but what you buy. It's not what's on the picture.
Yeah.
You've been there.
Yeah, and we worked with them on actually developing stuff for us. Like when Ken was having problems with his RS200, it was like, oh, bring it to the shock, or the shake rig and like figure out the suspension. Yeah, 7-post and like all those kind of things. Also, as someone who loves the Nürburgring and all of that, it's like you watch the N24 and it's like half of the competition is on KW. And if you think about it, the Nürburgring is closer to what you will drive on a good mountain road than any other racetrack because it's like there's roughness to it. It doesn't have.
I don't think there's a mountain road like the Nordschleife.
I'm not saying it's like it, but what I'm saying is it's a lot closer to a mountain road than Spa.
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying? Or like or Laguna Seca. Like the road is not perfect.
Yeah.
Which means that the suspension has to deal with that. Where when you build suspension for perfect roads, it works like shit when you get it onto the 405.
I always explain it like that with KW is you put it in the car and the car feels slower in the acceleration because it takes so much stress out of the car that you
remove some of that. That's a good point.
that you really think I think I lost 100 horsepower, right? Because normally it slips. When
I don't think this is selling KW right now. You want your car to feel even slower?
No. Now what?
I get what you're saying. I understand.
No, but it really does. It gives you way more. It makes you faster.
Yeah.
Because you are way more comfortable, even if you're not that super highly skilled. Because it helps you, it takes care of you
Yeah.
to really be in control.
Yeah. I think for, back to the kind of like the sponsorship side of things, it has become a huge part of content in the US, to both a negative and a positive. And the positive side, it has allowed this to become a career for people, right? That there's money there. And I'm curious as to how different the German market is. But in the US, like, you pretty much have three options. One is you get paid for integrated content, right? Which means
In the video,
right? So you're being paid by an outside partner to either talk about their stuff, right? Or to integrate it or whatever.
in Germany too.
Second one is that you play the volume game. And that means that you're sort of so you have to put up a lot of uploads like you do, but you also really need all of them to do well. So you're leaning a bit into like algorithmic hacking. So it's like the video needs a really good thumbnail. It needs to deliver algorithmically, but you're not really putting a lot of effort beyond that piece because you're trying to make money off of YouTube. And the best way to make money there is not to spend too much on your content and try to make it so that you are putting out enough content that you get paid from YouTube, right? And then, those are basically, you're either kowtowing to the algorithm or to the sponsor. And then the third model is that you have another business and your YouTube just funnels to the business. And that is where mostly everyone, I think, has gone now, right?
Or you do all three together.
Right? I think everybody has a version of the three. Like, no one's saying no to the YouTube money, right? But at the same time, it's usually not big enough for, like, it wouldn't pay. It doesn't pay to keep this running. I think that the weird part is that I come from and you come from a world where people used to pay for content, right? Like magazines, you bought them, right? TV channel, maybe you paid for it because it was cable or you were paying through your taxes or whatever. I'm watching an audience in the US get really, really fatigued because either it feels too clickbaity. It feels like you're trying to make something for the algorithm. You're not actually making good content. You're just making what the system wants. Or you're so heavily integrated with sponsors that it's like, it feels like that's all that's there, right? The problem is that at the same time, like, if you're not the one spending the money, like, you don't have as much control anymore. So, like, I actually believe, and I'm happy we waited till almost 3 hours to mention this because it is not a popular opinion, but I think content's going to go back to being paid for, because I think at a certain point, people are like, I don't mind spending $10 a month to get something I really want versus everything that I watch is either algorithmically massaged. And now that we have AI and AI can speak way more algorithmically, everyone's shows are just going to be made this way. I don't want to tangent too much, but I listened to this person the other day. They said they went and they found a creator who they wanted to emulate and be like. They downloaded all the videos, turned them into transcripts, took the transcripts, stuck them into Claude, had Claude figure out what pieces of this were the parts that were really working compared to all the top videos versus the lower videos, and then wrote them scripts for 10 videos. And they went and made those 10 videos, and each one of those videos did 1 million views. You realize that it has completely removed the creative part of making something. Like, they just found the cheat code and the recipe to go do it.
There's a thing in my company.
And like, that thing for me, just to finish that thing for me bothers me, right? That, like, that's the way to go make content. But I get it. Like, if it's a business and you're trying to make money, that's going to start to come out. So you're now, as someone who doesn't want to do that, I'm competing with that. I have great partners. I enjoy working with them, but I do realize, like, their real partners will actually, I think, work well on a podcast because, like, we're talking for 2 some odd hours. People have to listen to like 4 minutes of like advertisement over 2.5 hours. It's a decent ratio. But I've watched other people's content where you're like, this whole thing feels like it's bought. Why am I watching this? At a certain point, are we not as an audience going to get back to going, you know what? If I just pay $10 or something and I get something I really want, don't I want to watch it? I watch Clarkson's Farm. I like that show. Do you ever watch that show?
Never.
Do you know Jeremy Clarkson?
Absolutely.
By the way, cancer diagnosis, prostate. Apparently they caught it early, but it was on Clarkson's Farm. I didn't see it last night, but I read it. Yeah, prostate cancer. Yeah. So, and he said it's quite aggressive. He's like one of my heroes. Like I
He
do
is.
what I do because of the Three Amigos.
He is.
Like every time someone will be like, "Oh, you guys kind of ripped off this," I'm like, "No, we ripped off Top Gear. Get it straight." The only person we ever ripped off and ever will rip off is Top Gear because they did it all first and they did it great.
Best.
Yeah, they did it best. They really did.
Best.
So.
No question about it.
Yeah.
I was lucky to film and do things with their team.
Same here.
And
I got to watch them write. I got to watch them sit in the room and write a skit with Ken and watch it come together over cigarettes and wine. And it was super cool.
in my company, there's a thing. I don't allow them to use AI.
Thank you.
No, really.
We appreciate you from the creative world,
No,
from a delegate of the creative.
100%,
I appreciate it.
because the young ones also are so, not stupid, but so flat that they think I don't see it. Because, you know, when we talking and I ask them, can you show me this? And you see this, what do you think? That you wrote this in 2 minutes? do you honestly think that? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Just to let you know. And this is crazy.
Do you even know what that word means? Use that word in a sentence.
Or when they copy it wrongly out, when they leave it in, like, do you want it different? Or do you want me to write this in a different way?
Yeah.
That when you send me this shit, at least put this out.
Yeah.
And no, this is something what I really don't like. And then you see, and partly they're right, the conversation that I have with them. Because the young kids are so used to have it easy and fast, easy, fast.
Yeah.
Easy, fast. And I'm saying, yeah, but I want you to think about it. I want you to do it. But I'm not doing it the way, or as good as AI would do it. It's not the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want you. I'm paying you to think about it. And I want to have the conversation with you, because when you use it all the time, you lose all the potential that God gave you to create yourself. You become just a flat guy because you're not even reading what AI is telling you.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Cut and paste.
And then they think, I did the fucking job. And they're not.
Yeah. And honestly, I know this sounds so old person to say, but it's like in so many ways, like they're cheating themselves. As something as I've learned as I've gotten older. And Vinny used to accuse me of this, and I agree. Vinny said, he's like, sometimes I think Scotto makes things difficult just because difficult is a good story. And as I've gotten older in life, I've realized that the most memorable moments in life are the ones that have friction. Things that don't have friction, you don't remember. There's something about that friction that makes things sticky in your brain, right? Like that really difficult thing you had to make, that you hated it while you were making, stays there. Where the things that just happened, the cars, I'm sure there's
much the same.
The friction is the part that makes you kind of fall in love. I mean, and I think it's even in relationships. That girl that was difficult, that friend who you kind of fucking hate, but also kind of like love. Like there's something about the right amount of friction in life, and we have too much convenience now.
Mm-hmm. And looking for it,
and it applies to everything, including cars. Like I don't need a car that does all this for me. Some things are nice, and I will go on the record. I like hill assist. Only because I've been driving manual transmission for so long.
Because your foot is too big.
Yeah, it's probably because it just hits the fucking dash all the time, you know? No, it's also because I live in Los Angeles and there's some really weird steep hills here and I hate burning my clutch. Like, I don't mind that.
Steep hills in LA?
Go to La Cienega and Sunset with that car right now. Just sit in that line going up this, like, it's like a 40.
Yeah, you're right. West Hollywood there.
Yeah, there's some good stuff over there. But anyway, I say that, but like there's all these other things like auto blip shift and like all this stuff that like I don't need this convenience. I enjoyed learning how to heel toe, and I will admit I still could be better at it. Probably because I drive so many different cars and my feet are huge. But but that's fun. It's fun to get better at it and then like get out of practice because you're driving something else and doing this and learning. Like I enjoy things that require friction.
Also, when we go a little deeper, heel and toe.
Yeah.
And you know you can do it good, and then you're driving, let's paint a picture. Somebody behind you, and you have this little battle. You don't know who it is, and you mess it up. What happens in your mind is working on yourself. Doing, I should have done this. Fuck, I'm a little reference a little bit too high or too low. And all this happens, and this is very important because if you do it with the computer, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and sure, you're faster, but like I don't know if that's the goal.
No.
Right? Like, I don't know if that's the goal.
How proud can you be?
Like, having a perfect lap in a manual transmission car where you didn't botch a single corner because you were perfectly there is an accomplishment, even if the time is slower for me. Do you know?
Yeah. Or when you get faster on this track and you feel that, for example, you in 4, and you know, I come to this corner and I have 1,000 RPM left. And then you know, I got only 200 left. You get more connection to what you are doing, and I think it's very important.
Yeah, and I think that like we apply it to cars, but I think it lives in everything. And I go back to this to bring us full circle. I just feel like content, and Germany may be in a different place, and you have, I think, the advantage and the luxury because of the size audience that you've built, that you get to do the thing you want to do and people show up for it. I think that in the US market where things feel really saturated, everyone is trying to like outshock each other, right? Like there's like this big thing that we have maybe lost the plot of what good content is, like of what it is that we want to make, right? And I don't think everyone agrees with that, but I do. I watch a lot of stuff and I'm like, this feels very formulaic. This feels like anyone else's show. I think that to me, the algorithm flattens like the creative curve. Like people aren't trying to do outside stuff, right? Like for example, Gymkhana was a very outside idea that I don't know if we would have today because there was no model that proved that it would work. But we were like, let's try this. Who knows? Maybe a skateboard-like video with cars might be exciting for people, right? I think that there's a little bit less experimentation because of the financial thing that goes around content. I think in America. I don't know if I can't speak for Germany because I'm obviously not German.
And on this one, I would not agree.
Yeah.
Because thousands of creators loading up videos every day. And their ideas are in that videos, but we don't see them. Because when we talk about these things...
I'm not saying they don't do it. I'm just saying it doesn't float to the top. 100%.
Exactly.
So I 100% agree with you. I think that...
Because we're only looking... These 6 guys have to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe right there. He's there.
Yeah.
He's there and doing it. But and maybe people watch it and they laugh about him. But when one of the 6 guys are doing it, he said, yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, well, I did this exactly like that. All the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's I think that there are some creators out there like yourself, guys like Mighty Car Mods, Binky, who like they develop something and they've had it for so long that like that is their thing and it works and they don't have to conform because it just drives. Where I think a lot of other people and Hoonigan was like it for 2 different reasons, but like, they're always sort of chasing something different. One of the reasons Hoonigan was like that is my fault. I just like new ideas and I want to try new things.
That's you.
It's me. And I was like, oh, we did this. I want to go do this now. I want to go do this. Right. And it's like, I enjoyed jumping all over the place.
I think with you.
Because to me, making content is like project cars. I'm not happy with just one. I want to have 126 ideas that are out there, you know?
You have a very, very, very strong eye for aesthetics. In writing and logo and how it should look and how it should be. I think this is what we lose a lot, especially in the future, because AI is really hitting it right now. And AI will use you. Your how logos should look, how it should be. And I think many other creators don't have that in them.
Right.
So
yeah, I get that. I get that.
Or I hire somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I think one of the most difficult things for the modern day creator on YouTube is that you could be very likable on camera, but you're not good at editing. You're not good at the business end of it. Like, you know, think about the whole picture that makes your channel work. This was one of the things that was really unique about Hoonigan was that we had a business that did the part and it let other people show up and just do one thing good, right? They didn't have to do all the pieces.
Because you had the package.
Because we had the package, right? And I think that, unfortunately, I don't think that YouTube supports businesses like Hoonigan or Donut or Motor Trend or any of those. I don't think the model of having 45 employees to do content really works like it does for a single person. How many employees do you have now?
Employees?
Yeah.
120,
Yeah,
115.
that's crazy. But you got 16 companies. But like that is the model, right? I think.
No, but actually, you like you said, when I pulled up at you, the video thing is small.
Yeah. I mean, is it?
I mean, now, I got seven camera guys who also editing.
Yeah, but you're putting up 5 pieces of content a week.
Right. So they have to.
I don't know anyone who does that much content.
No?
Not anymore. There are guys who will do them for sprints. So it'll be like Cletus does this thing called like the month of freedom, and he'll do an episode every day for 30 days. But I think most people have sort of moved back to the twice a week at the most, maybe 3 times. Hoonigan was doing that. We used to, at one point, we were doing 10 plus pieces of content a week across multiple channels. Yeah, it was insane. Okay. I don't think it was good though. Like, I don't think it was good.
If I would go back to 2 or not back, if I would go to 2 or 3 a week, it will not work anymore.
Why?
The people, JP Performance got so important for them.
It's part of their life.
Yeah, it's part of their life.
It's part of their routine. I do this and then I watch JP.
Yeah.
What time does your show? What time?
11:30.
In the morning.
Yeah.
So it's like lunchtime. I'm watching JP every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
So if that would not happen after so many years, I mean, I got people pulling up to me and they pull up their T-shirt and they have my face that big on their back, on their leg, on their stomach, everywhere.
That's crazy.
Face, not logo.
Yeah.
Face.
People did that with Ken, but none of the rest of us, thank God.
That's crazy.
I would be freaked out.
That is crazy, and I feel so sorry. I feel like, and for especially they expect that you say something, but you don't know what to say. You go like, oh, nice, you know.
We had a Hoonigan rule, which is if you had a Hoonigan tattoo, you couldn't work at Hoonigan.
Yeah.
It's like, because then it'd be even harder to fire you the day came. It's like getting kicked out of a motorcycle club. We got to cut it off you or something. So.
That was bad. But I think we got the record, right?
Yeah. I love that you stayed just for the record. I know you were looking at your clock. You're like, I got all this work to do. And you're like, I'll stay for the record.
Yeah, let me see. Because the good thing always being in LA is that the time difference helps me also a little bit.
Yeah. It's also starting to get warm in here because we don't have air conditioning. So
yeah, and I want to check out your rest of the cars.
Okay, yeah. Well, I fully enjoyed this, buddy. It's good catching up.
We have to do it again.
Yeah. Anytime you're in town. So we can also like go do dinner and life stuff like that. So
maybe I'll move here. And then I will be the guy who comes around.
You
all
move
the time.
here, I'll sell you the Ferrari. See, you have a car when you get here. Yeah.
Tell me a price.
We'll talk off. We'll talk off camera.
Okay.
Thanks again.
The mailbox is full. The mailbox is full. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
Of all the sunglass companies out there, you might ask, why Heatwave? Aside from them being friends of mine, they just make great shades. Awesome styles, cool collabs, smart tech. They even have extra large sizes for big heads like me. And for those of you wearing this on the job, they make ANSI Z87 spec safety glasses too. But what really attracts me to Heatwave is that they are physically a part of our culture. You will find them everywhere, from King of the Hammers to Formula Drift. You'll see everyone wearing Heatwaves at your local track day event. Damn, you might even turn laps with the co-founder Justin, because they're one of us. So, one more reason to choose Heatwave Visual to fix your face. I'm a tool dork. My obsession might even dwarf my addiction to cars. I love collecting unique and specialty tools, which is how I initially fell in love with Wera. First off, they just make aesthetically pleasing tools. They feel good in your hand, they have a great finish, their sizes are universally color-coded, and they are super strong. In 2 decades, I've never broken a tool from Wera. I wish I could say the same about my other tools. But the thing I like the most about Wera is that they create clever solutions for your wrenching woes, because you need over-engineered tools to work on today's over-engineered cars. So if you're ready to step up your tool game, whether it's the Zyklop ratchet or the Joker wrenches, find them at weratools.com. All anyone wants to talk about nowadays is how great 90s car culture was. But what everyone forgets is how bad our slammed cars rode on crappy lowering springs. At the time, that's all my wallet could muster. But when I finally did step up and get some proper coilovers, I went for KWs and never looked back. I've been running their stuff for over 2 decades now, in everything from my 911 to my RS2. I even have a custom set in my Land Rover Discovery. And yes, that bloody thing does finally run. Anyway, because of my long history with them, I am very excited to announce KW as the newest partner in this whole podcast syndicate thing I'm building. Anyway, check them out, kwsuspensions.com.